4 tickets, hotels, or I'm not paying that for somebody. What's your prediction? In the gym today. Imagine what my prediction was. 8:45. It's fair. I was gonna say 9, so we'll do 8:45. 8:45, Chief. That's our prediction. We'll see. I think so. Unless more people come in. That'd be nice. If I'm home by 9, that's a good thing. They just have 2 hours to. I go to bed at 11, but I play on my phone like also.
I'll give her the message.
Thursday we had start up the same type of thing. Talk about
What's going on, Sue? Same old stuff.
like I've been there, I've done that, I've been
Oh, really?
Did you talk to Alexa yet?
Oh, I got in there today. I'd rather do it face to face.
You should probably do it.
I'm calling to order the regular session meeting of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Tarpon Springs on Tuesday, December 6, 2016 at 6:30 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mayor Alahouzes.
Here.
Vice Mayor Terapany.
Here.
Commissioner Banther.
Here.
Commissioner Sieber.
here.
Commissioner Slattery. Here.
Tonight's invocation will be given by Reverend Melody Kidd from the Crystal Beach Community Church. Please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Bow with me in prayer. Tonight, oh God, we come before you, thanking you for life's blessings and thanking you for the refreshment of rain today and for the reason of the season. As we gather together tonight as leaders within the community of Tarpon, may our decisions have insight. May our deliberations have understanding. And may our results be for the equality of it all. Today, O God, hear our prayers, and may grace be to all. Amen.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our commission meeting. Thank you for being here tonight. We are now going to the public comments on the items that will not be discussed this evening. If anyone has any comments, please come forward. No? We're going to go to presentations. Item number 1, Cups and Kids Youth Center, Robin Ritt.
You can sit beside me. You can sit beside me. I'm not that tall. It's okay. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, Chief Cochin. Thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to come and visit with you tonight. This is a very, very small gesture that reflects an enormous amount of love and appreciation that we have for the City of Tarpon Springs, for the staff and the police department and the fire department that work with us all the time to keep the children and the families healthy and safe and thriving. The children wanted to share with you their own personal thoughts of what city commissioners do and what the mayor does and how important their job is and all the decisions that they make. So in their own words, they would like to share these deep, deep conversations that we actually had together and learning not just what we didn't know the kids knew about your role in our community, but also coming up with some new information and trying to find out the answers of the depth of your work. So now I'm going to pass the microphone off to the kids, and they want to share with you how much they appreciate you.
Good evening. My name is Russell and I'm 11 years old. I would like to thank the city commissioner. I would like to thank the city mayor and staff for making sure that our city pipes are always in good working order. I would also like to thank the police department and the fire department for keeping our community safe. Thank you for all this opportunity for working together and to improve the quality of life for our city. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Michaela and I am 12 years old. I would like to thank the city commissioners, mayor, and staff for working as a team together. Thank you for helping the police and fire department have money to buy the equipment they need to help people with. Thank you for bringing your college degree information to help the mayor or make good decisions.
Good evening. My name is Datasia, and I would like to thank the fire department for all they done in saving our lives. They save our burning houses, and they come as quick as they can, and they always work together as a team. Thank you.
My name is Micaiah, and I am 12 years old. I would like to thank the city commissioners, mayor, and staff for bringing good businesses to our city. Also for having many festivals and holiday parties for our families to go to on the weekends instead of staying home watching TV. And thank you for helping Cops and Kids.
Good evening. My name is Lauren, and I am 11 years old. I would like to thank the city commissioners, mayor, and staff for helping the police officers keep our community safe. We really enjoy it when police officers and firemen come to Cops and Kids or to our houses and play games. I also really appreciate how the city staff keep our streets and neighborhoods clean and built many parks for our family and visitors. Thank you.
Also, over the course of the last year, we've been doing a lot of stuff with community service projects and whatnot, and lessons and activities. And during those lessons, one was about city government, local government, what do they do?
Thank you.
And we had an art activity where the kids wanted to present you guys with a token of their
Very
appreciation.
much appreciate that.
I want to thank you all for bringing the students here today. Students, thank you so much for coming and sharing your thoughts with us. Congratulations for the excellent program that you have for the Cubs and Kids. Since 1992, Cubs and Kids is providing a great service to our children, and thank you. And also want to thank Mr. Licouris for creating this program back when he was a policeman. I think you were the chief at the time.
Not yet, but
You
it was
were?
before I was chief.
Yeah. So this is really one of the best programs that we have here in Tarpon, and I want to thank you so much for being here today. Mrs. Slattery?
Oh, thank
wanna
you.
say something?
Just a few words. Thank you for being here tonight. This is really a nice treat to have the young ones here with us. And it's a great program that you're attending. And the one who should get all the thanks is our city manager, Mr. Licouris, because he did start the program many years ago. And it's helped keep the children off the streets after school. And there's some great programs there, help with homework. And just it's really evolved through the years. We've got computers now. And so it's a great place to be. And I'm so glad that you all are able to enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I appreciate the gift of coffee that one of you gave me, and I would say yes, sir, it was you. And I would just say keep up your good work and your community involvement. You are more involved than most children your age, and one day you can be up here. So I hope to see you there one day. Thanks.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Tarpon.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to
express my gratitude to you all for your thanks, as well as for the gift you gave me. I see it's a coffee cup. I'm a big coffee drinker, drinking it right now. So I also want to tell you how courageous it was for you to come tonight and also get up to the podium and speak. It takes a lot of courage and a lot of guts to do that, and you all sounded great. So don't worry about a slip up here and there, or a little stutter. I do it all the time. So congratulations.
Yes, thank you all for coming, and thank you for the gift. I didn't see what I had, but maybe it's a coffee cup also. Did some of you go out to the Caladesi Islands? I think I recognize all of you because I got to know some of you on that trip, and I think a couple of you were on the boat I was on. So I did get to know some of you, and I enjoyed meeting you and getting to know you. And thank you for being here tonight and your kind words and your gifts. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. LaCruz, you want to say a few words?
No, not really. It's all been said. The kids make me proud, all generations. Of course, I've got some with gray hair that come up to me now and thank me for the program and shows me how old I am. So it's good to see the younger ones here that are involved. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there any public comments on this item? Here, none. Thank you, kids. Thank you so much for being here. Okay. We are now going to the item number 2, which is the Public Art Committee, the annual report. Mrs. Orr.
Good evening to the mayor and the commissioners, the city manager and the chief of police. Thank you. And we have some of the members of our art committee here supporting us. This is our annual plan and budget request for the fiscal year 2017. And as you look, I think you have a copy of this, all right. This past year, we donated money to the North Pinellas Cultural Alliance and the plein air paint and photo event. If there are any questions as I go along, it's okay to interrupt me. We also, during 2016, used a site called Cafe to locate artists who would respond to our request for some of our projects. Bike racks, we have a phase 1, and you'll hear more about that. And then the roundabout down at the docks. This year we put out a call for artists, and we had a response, as you can see, of 92 designs from 28 artists. We have moved that now down to 12 artists, and 12 designs are out on bid, as you can see, with the procurement. The artist created the design, and the city is going to create the bike racks. So you can see that we will have 10 bike racks in the city. And if you would like to know where they're going to be, these are for 1 to 2 are up to 4 bikes. The Cultural Center, the Train Depot, the Tarpon Tavern, Craig Park, near the Heritage Museum, Hope Street near tennis courts, the City Hall, Splash Park, City Marina, and the Sponge Docks. So that's our first phase. The other project that we have put a call out for artists is the roundabout on the docks. And that is going to be a bigger project, of course, and we're looking forward to getting those responses. We'll whittle that down to 5 top candidates. Then we will have an opportunity to do some public information on that in order to select the best. Now, all of you know about our mermaid, and we're very appreciative of Tom Funchan's team. They put ground lighting around, if you've been over, and there's a curving slab that goes up and around. The Grow Group has installed plants, and this will be the 3rd year that we've had AMA. And so we owe $20,000, but we do have it in our budget. And then we're looking for candidates for the other part, which is an opportunity for nonprofit groups to apply for a grant, which is 1/3 of the price of AMA. And I want to say a word for Denise Manning, who really works hard for us. She has created this web design for us, and when you go online, you can pop on any of these rectangles, and it'll pull up some information of the members and projects we're involved in. Publications, we have our brochure that is up to date, and I think it's important to note the mission of the public art program is to enrich community through art in our surroundings. And we're extending the AMA. We have some note cards that are going to be really pretty that'll be available for purchasing, and they will be out and about. They were created by the artist. And looking at our administration, we are looking at our ordinance, and we are updating it and trying to make it user-friendly so we can be more productive in the community. We will be working to update it in 2017, and it's part of our 5-year plan. Now, next, we're going to be looking at phase 2 in our bike racks. And these will be larger bike racks. These will be up to 10 bikes. And so in that phase, we're going to be looking at Mother Mears Park, the library, the fitness park, Sunset Beach, Sisler's Field, Mears Crossing, and anything else that someone might suggest. So in all of these bike racks will be very creative, related to our culture that's evident here in Tarpon Springs, as well as just art, good art. Fortunately, we have a budget that we can work with. And if you look down here, and looking at, we have $401,000. We have our outreach and education, marketing promotion, plaques, miscellaneous, the AMA, which we're going to be paying for, phase 1, bike racks, and then the roundabout. And then next year, we will have $274,000 balance to work with those larger bike racks. But we want to thank the Board of Commissioners for your support with the public art. I can see that it's very important to you that we continue to work for this and make our city more beautiful and meaningful. It's a wonderful visual expression and a sense of our place and recognition. Are there any questions? All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you. I'd like to thank you, Ms. Orr. Also, I'd like to thank all the members of the committee for working so hard to beautify our city. Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Huber?
Yes, thank you very much, and I appreciate everything you guys are doing. I'm looking forward to those bike racks and the roundabout. I know that the people on the sponge docks are really anxious to get that completed. I see that you're going to be selling your little postcards in your cultural departments or areas. Have you considered including gift shops or shops in Tarpon to sell these? Because I think that
yes, we've considered that, and we're available if anyone would like to put them in their shops. Absolutely, because they're going to be beautiful. And
so, yeah, I think that they definitely are, and they would sell well for you.
Very good. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Tarpon.
Thank you. I appreciate the update tonight. I did have a question or two. One is in regard to the bike racks in terms of time frame. When do you think the first phase will be installed?
We already have narrowed it down, and we have 12 bike racks. Right now, it's a matter of the city working with us and finding out about creating these bike racks. And that time frame will be the only limitation we really have. And there may be some of those bike racks where we may duplicate them, which will help speed up the process. But I would think within a year we would see the first 10 will be in place. And then we'll be advertising for the second set of bike racks. So within 2 to 3 years, we'll be seeing a sculpture, and we'll have up to 20 bike racks in the city.
So you've narrowed down your artist search to 12 artists, correct?
Well, 12 designs within that.
Okay.
So There may be some duplications from artists because they sent in more than one design.
Right. So when do you anticipate selection of an artist?
Very soon. As soon as we get more information back from the city, and we'll be able to use that information then to see the possibilities of creating those bike racks, which were sent to us as designs, and the cost. And because they have to be safe, of course, and accessible. So I would say within a year and a half, we should easily have those first 10 done and well on our way, because once we learn about how to do the first set, the second set should be much easier. So I'd say within 3 years, we should be seeing these.
I can
Yes,
tell
my
you that
buddy.
that's not acceptable to me. 3 years for a bike rack?
It's,
I
no,
say that
it's-
respectfully, okay? So
Absolutely, and it is, I think it's going to happen a lot sooner. Right now, Rhonda Simmons from procurement and I are working together to put the specs together so they get out to the bid process. But because these expenses are high, they have to go through the procurement process. So that process takes a little bit of time.
So you mentioned that you'll be coming back to the city for fabrication. The artist won't be responsible for
Not for the
fabrication?
bike rack project. For the roundabout project, yes. The artist will be responsible all the way up to installation.
So
Tom Function's team has already stated, we've already had this conversation, that they definitely want to be a part of the installation, but along with the artist or with the manufacturer in the case of the bike racks.
okay, so in terms of the roundabout, could you give a little detail as far as what you envision there?
Well, we want to leave that, and I hope I'm not speaking.
Oh, no.
Okay, Sherry.
She's our right hand. Go for it.
I'm the Public Art Committee fearless sidekick. What we're planning for the roundabout is that we don't give a lot of instruction, that we let the artist look at that site and come up with a concept that fits that site. And the less amount of instruction we give, the more creativity is left open for the artist.
Or lack of direction?
And that may be the case, but using the roundabout, or the bike racks as a guide, because that is our very first project. And what's interesting about the Public Art Committee, everything we're doing for the first time, not only as a committee, but as the city. We haven't had a committee such as ours that is actually producing stuff. So each step of the way we're learning, and with our first bike rack project, our response from the artist community was tremendous, and not just across Florida, but we've gotten some from all over the United States, some submissions. So I'm not fearful with the roundabout that we won't have wonderful, creative projects to choose from.
So let me give some feedback regarding what I think about the roundabout space. So first of all, I don't mean to bring the heat, but I think that, I support public art, but I feel like the roundabout space is already a nice space. It has the shade, it has landscaping, it has benches, it looks nice. So my thinking with the public art and the monies associated with creating, this new beautiful space is to spend the money at an underutilized space, right? So the roundabout to me is already pretty. So I'd like to potentially see those monies directed to a different area of town where we can try and spruce that space up using public art funds. So that's kind of my thinking with the roundabout. I haven't heard about the roundabout project.
Okay.
My understanding is the Board of Commissioners ultimately approves the public art project. Okay. So that's just my personal feedback regarding the site selection of the roundabout. I'd like to see maybe some other sites identified as well. So let's say you have this reach out to artists, and you call out to artists for a public art project. So that's fine. So once they come back, then I think it would be beneficial if you presented the Board of Commissioners with 2 or 3 different sites to where we could say, yeah, Public Art Committee, you're doing your thing with, selecting the artist, or here's the design that we'd like to see, and then Board of Commissioners, where would you like to see it implemented, versus just one site? Because, like I just said, I may feel like, and I'm just one voice, obviously, I may feel like there's a better site. So, I think that's important for you to think about. I'm happy to see that you have a healthy budget. As we know, that comes from development and a fee levied on, said development, whether it be, they do their own public art or there's, basically a tax. So I'm glad to see that you have plenty of money. I'd like to see it start being spent, maybe quicker. And usually you don't hear us saying that we want you to spend money quicker. But, I'd like to see these public art projects actually come to fruition. So those are my thoughts.
I'm Kathy Monahan, the Cultural Director, Cultural and Civic Services Director, and I think the whole committee, if you don't mind me speaking for the committee on this, because as part of the administration of the city staff, it's been very hard to figure out some of the nuances of going out to bid for art projects, and so we've had to study what other communities do and then work with our procurement, our purchasing department to make sure that we follow city guidelines and also allow for the utmost creativity. One of the things that will happen with the bike racks and with, and I think the roundabout was one of the areas in the community that was approved by the board, and I'd have to go back, but we had a number of them, but we had such a request for the west end of the docks that was one of the sites. Nothing is set in stone, and I mean that literally as well as figuratively. But I just want to say, because this is the only board that actually has a budget that it has under its responsibilities to spend, and everybody is new to how to deal responsibly with the public funds, we want to make sure that, and the committee made up of citizens who meet only once a month, are following all the rules of in the sunshine and going by the city policies and allowing enough time for artists to send in their designs. And then, of course, you get to see the final choices and do the final approval. So I just want, it's a different kind of board, and it's very new, and I think once the ball gets rolling, I mean, just getting on at Cafe was a big deal to have a streamlined process of getting the word out to artists who deal with public art. So, I mean, there have been a lot of issues this committee's had to kind of fight through to figure out how to do all this, and then be part of what the city rules are as well. So as much as we like to get these things out there, and I think that you'll start seeing it once the first set of bike racks goes out, it's kind of like the wheels started, and you'll be getting projects that you approve, design with your approval, community input, of course, all along the way. And I think the care that this committee has brought to the process is part of not wanting to have anything backfire as a public art project that didn't do everything right, either because of public safety or aesthetics, because the public art has to reflect the desires and the aesthetics of the community at large. So I think, they're feeling frustrated too, but there are limitations that they have to work with.
I can appreciate all that, and I certainly recognize that it's a volunteer board, and I don't want to take anything away from that. I'm appreciative of the community service that's given. However, I do know firsthand of members of this, Tarpon Springs community who are more than qualified to sit on the Public Art Committee, and who have sat on the Public Art Committee, and who have resigned from the Public Art Committee because of their frustration. So, I just want you to function as best as you can and give the community stuff that they can be proud of in terms of public art. For a while, there wasn't any money in the account. So you were doing, you were meeting and you didn't have any money to spend, and now you do. So, I'm looking forward to exciting, beautiful art projects.
And I am new in my position, but I'm used to meeting deadlines, and in my former life, I will make every effort to move these projects along, I assure you that, and we certainly will communicate, and we welcome any of you who'd like to come and to our meetings and share your thoughts at that time. Thank you. Yes, Ray?
Could you please tell me when your next meeting is?
It is coming up on the third Tuesday of each month. I was going to say it's not the 14th, but it'd be the 12th. Is that right? Yes. Okay.
At 10 a.m. or?
No, it's at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yes, thank you. I do have much gratitude for all the work that you all do. I have no abilities in art whatsoever, so I can't guide you at all. But I would like to see all the bike racks and the proposed projects, now that you do have funds, come to the public more quickly, because I think it's a very important part of our community and our identity. And also, I think the vice mayor had an idea a while ago about the tennis courts, like the wall ball. Yes,
Yeah, that's right.
the wall ball behind the old library there. It's just white and blank. If y'all can do something with that, I think that would be really nice. And it's just finding artists to paint it. I don't think it costs that much money. So, and surfaces like that where we can, I, not that I travel a lot, but I travel enough, and I see those things, especially up in Atlanta, where they're taking, kind of industrial surfaces and painting them with things that are of a local flair. And like the wall ball would be a perfect place for you all to do something. You could possibly even do something different on both sides. I assume both sides are blank in some form. So that was an idea I want to make sure that went mentioned. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we like to hear these ideas, because I know the mayor had a couple of ideas too that we're listening to. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Slattery?
Thank you. And I just want to thank you all for your hard work. I know this board's been active for quite some time. I think it was quite a few years ago when I was sitting up here, came to fruition. And we did talk about the bike racks back then. So we're, and we are still talking about bike racks. So, I know it takes time, and you finally have a budget to work with. This is great. So as soon as we could start seeing some art in the community, be great. Art is so important in your communities. And I travel within, who's got the squeaky chair tonight?
It's this, I swear.
We have squeaky chairs.
Budget.
I know we need new chairs. But I travel to different towns within just Florida alone. I mean, not even talking about up north, but North Florida has some towns with just such unique art in it, or Austin, Texas. I mean, the art's unbelievable. So it can really enrich your town. And I just hope we can, like I said, you've got a great budget to start working with. So if we could start seeing anything as simple as, I'm thinking simple because I'm not an artist, the painting of the wall that they're speaking about, just so we could just start seeing some progress somewhere. But again, thank you for your hard work and dedication to the community. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're now going to the public comments. Does anybody have any public comments?
Anita Prost, 901 Bayshore Drive. Years ago, Mrs. Indianos painted scenes on buildings in Tarpon, and they were beautiful, depicting what we were all about. And some people painted over those after a few years, and they began to fade. And then down at the bayou, she painted a big sunburst, which was just absolutely gorgeous. I'd like to see something like that happen again. And also, as you travel around, like in Thomasville, Georgia, North Carolina, Naples, all around, their fire hydrants are painted. I don't know if we're allowed to do it here in Tarpon, but they paint them like flowers, like children. And we have such a great art group at the high school. Maybe that's something that these young artists can do for us. We can have little Evzons, we can have little girls in Greek costumes, we can have soccer players, and it really, really dresses up the town. The fire hydrants are just one color, they're a little boring, but when you put these little effects on them, they add to the area, they add to the corners, and they add to the sidewalks. And such as Thomasville is known for the rose that they named, and it's nationally known and internationally known. And to see these fire hydrants looking like a rose it's unbelievable. It really dresses up your community, and it's beautiful. I like to see y'all do something like that.
Good evening. My name is Darlene Vadi-Kiotis. I live at 49 West Center Street, Unit 113 in Tarpon Springs. Two things I'd like to say. I'm a new member to the Public Art Committee, and I'm thrilled to be part of it. I'm not an artist. I do pride myself on my 20-year Navy background as far as being organized and getting things done. And I want to say in this brief time that this committee has done an outstanding job. There are a lot of rules, regulations, Mr. Tarpon, that have to be followed. There's certain things that the artists provide to us that are kind of sketchy, and I mean really sketchy, not drawings. So there's a lot of fleshing out, and I know it may seem that it's not an expedient way of doing it, but believe me, Denise Manning is beyond a right-hand person. She's both hands, and she does an exemplary job, and I'm proud to have been approved to be on this committee, and I'd like to continue working. And being a biker, I'm eager to see the bike racks up, and I think that is one of our really big concerns right now. Secondly, my husband and I spend our summers in Cloudcroft, New Mexico, and the most interesting thing which came to mind was they have dumpsters there that are painted, and they're painted with pictures of cowboys, because this is New Mexico, and different things. But I know that the mayor had suggested something like that on the electrical boxes that we have around the town, and we have discussed that, and we will be happy to entertain any other ideas that you all would put forward to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? Yes, sir.
Good evening. Nils Haza, 124 Shattuck Street, Tarpon. One of the things that upset me a little bit tonight was the fact that when we're talking about artists in town, or what we're trying to do in the art community, they actually pulled people from outside the state. You know, I would think that if we're going to have a budget here in town, it should start with town people first, Florida second, and then last resort, someone outside the community. This is our money. This is our community. I also travel all over the world, and Tarpon is unique. We have such a great opportunity here with the Arts Center. I think the statue down at Craig Park is outstanding. We need more of that kind of stuff here. But they've done a great job, but I think if we're going to spend our money, it's got to be in the state or in town. We have great artists here in town. That's where it should stay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Peter Lacus, 514 Ashland Avenue. You kind of got to look at this like a child. This child is only maybe, 8 years old? I remember when, and I have to thank Robin Sanger for her vision and seeing the potential, and even at that time having to push for the types of incentives to be charged to projects over a certain value to be placed into this fund, city included. So don't think it's just private. When we built the reverse osmosis plant and any other major projects, the city has to pitch into. And as it was said, they had very little to go on because we know what happened in 08, 9, 10, 11, nobody building nothing. Then boom, all of a sudden, I was shocked. $400,000? That's nice. However, we don't need to be in a hurry to spend it all at once. One thing I'm thinking of is as we expand our public art project and more people become aware of it, and some of these other ideas that have been brought forward as far as murals and hydrants and things to be done, it might be nice to make sure we have some kind of a cushion for something that really comes forward that's truly special. But I do feel that it's important that we allow these people the time to go through some of these issues that, quite true, you know, it is a first step for all of them, all of us, you know. And one thing about the bike racks hearing that it's a city project and they are going to be city properties, part of the thing, as it was mentioned, was safety. Because if people use the bike racks, it's actual physical art you can use. It's not a visual art that you're going to be looking at and no one's touching or climbing. You're going to be parking bikes, so if what happens, someone cuts themselves on a sharp edge or whatever. I'm not going to even put out there what kind of potentials. So there are other ramifications other than just picking a design and having someone build a sculpture and put it in and lighting it. So as all things, as you're becoming aware and learning of, things take time, but I have faith that these people, and with their input from the community, local artists, and to the gentleman's concern, maybe if you had time to come and they can explain to you, I do think there are provisions that we built in to the ordinance to have local artists participate. In fact, if you look at the backup, they gave $1,000 to the Tarpon Springs Arts Association, which is a real big group. So I'm sure they're aware of the local artists, so if you're new to the area, maybe come meet with them, and then you can be a part, and you can maybe bring other artists in that aren't feeling a part, because that's what we are, a community. So I welcome you. I'm sure the artist community would welcome you also. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yeah. We are now going to the item number 3. Another presentation on Court Street conceptual plan, Mr. Licouris.
As we talked about before, you know, we've moved around and done different streets, especially in the downtown area. I think the last one we did was Orange, the block of Orange from alternate 19 to the Bayou. Enhance those with trees. The next place, as I said, we were going would be from Court Street from alternate 19 to Banana. It's not very visible up there. We tried to get it so we could see on the screen. You've got big maps here, but essentially what we tried to do is get additional parking, as you know, especially from Snow Place and some of the other events. That's such a big street. We wanted to maximize parking on the street. We also wanted to look at beautifying the street. And so with those in mind, we worked on the design, and the basics of this design pretty much is angle parking on the south side of the road. Wherever we've added some places for some landscaping. The other side is parallel parking, just because we could not get 2 rows of angle parking. It was impossible. There's a lot of driveways on the north side. So that's parallel parking. We've got very little room of city property, but again, as we did on Dodecanese, as we did on alternate 19, in addition to this concept you see here, we will be looking at some private property owners who might want to get into some partnerships with us and add some further landscaping to beautify their street. The results of this gives us 43 parking spaces plus 2 handicap places. It gives us the beauty of some landscaping. As you see, we're going to add the decorative lights along the way to the project. And Mr. Sherman has went around to, I think, the large majority of the property owners who are affected by that and brought this plan to them. So conceptually, I'm bringing this to you. This is something we're all going to do in-house. It's not very expensive, obviously. It's landscaping, it's lining, it's doing some things. So we brought this for you to look at, get your opinion on, and we're pretty much ready to get started with it if you approve the concept tonight. And I'll be open for any questions if you want.
Thank you. Mr. Licouris. Well, thank you for the presentation. I think we always need more parking in the local businesses and the special events. I think this is going to be great. It's going to give us 45 additional parking spaces. The parallel parking is now very desirable. Most people have trouble going in and out. I was just wondering if there's anything that we can do to change that to
none
angle parking. No?
None. We don't have the room. We have to have we have to have the access and the lane access, and we can't get it with angle on both sides. That's the original plan. What we wanted to try to do we can't get there for safety purposes. So that's why we had to do that. And because of the amount of driveways on the north side of the road, that's why we decided to get the most and put the angle parking on the south side of the road.
Thank you. Do we have any time frame when this project will be completed?
We're ready to get on it right away. So preliminarily, and especially right after the holidays, to get moving, get it done, start ordering the landscape. We're ready to go now with this concept. As it said, we've got the buy-in from the people in the street. It's going to be an in-house project, so we're ready to get started on the aspects. Now, the longest thing will possibly be the lights on, but we can wire, get everything ready for those lights to come. So we're ready to move now and hopefully get it done in 2 or 3 months at the most.
Vice Mayor,
Thank you.
questions?
Yep. I want to express my gratitude for this being brought back. As the city manager and I described to you at our last meeting when we talked about this, this is something that's been discussed between he and I and staff for probably several years now, to the point where we considered buying a piece of property over here that fronts on Court Street and Lemon Street. And it was with the intent of, additional parking for special events, parking for, the boats and trailers that utilize the Craig Park boat ramp. Ultimately, it was just too expensive, to buy that piece of property. So I'm glad to see that, we're finally moving forward with this plan on Court Street. For me, I like to look at it holistically, with the next agenda item considering, the potential for a park on that corner, because I think holistically, if you look at it as one project, that's where it really becomes desirable to me. I'll tell you that one of the reasons why it took this long to come back is because, there were a lot of challenges with the driveways. As you see on the north side, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 driveways. So, from a layout standpoint and having enough space, to your point, Mayor, as far as the parallel parking on the north side, it's a challenge. It was a challenge to lay out this project, and I'm appreciative in the way that the city manager and city staff went about this, in the sense that every property owner, which there's quite a few on this section of Court Street on the north side and on the south side, was met with before this came back to the commission. The idea was brought forward to them. It was discussed with them. Do you see any challenges? Would it be better for you if we did this with this driveway, et cetera? So I'm appreciative of that there was that outreach on the city level. To the city manager's point, as far as the potential for some landscape easements like we did at the Sponge Dock in front of the Blair's parking lots, I think that's a great idea. I really would like to see that ran with a little bit, so to speak, prior to obviously construction of this, because there'll be the need for additional curb cuts or whatever the case may be. As you're doing that, if there could be further discussion with, I think it's Mr. Sarukas, who owns a portion of the parking lot, where those 2 curb cuts that aren't really utilized right now. If we could discuss with him potentially closing those, and with the intent, if he ever wanted them reopened, they could be reopened. Potentially closing those if he's not utilizing them right now, with an agreement in place that if he wanted them open at some point, that would be fine and no heartburn from the city. If we close those, we pick up a couple more spaces. So, to me, as long as we're mobilized here and we're doing this construction, and we're already intending on having the conversation for a landscape easement, I think that's worthwhile to discuss with him. But other than that, it's a great project. I mean, it's, 45 spaces with landscape, light poles, and I'm assuming obviously the landscape will have irrigation. Right. So, did it take a little while for us to design this and get approval from property owners to move forward with it? Sure it did. But at the same time, we didn't spend $800,000 on, a consultant to tell us where to put light bulbs and what kind of plantings to plant. So for me, that's a win. And I feel like in my term up here, that's been something that has been a strong focus, is that, we're more than qualified. We've got plenty of people in-house and within the community who can lend ideas, and professionalism to come up with a great design like this. So I'm thank you. Get it done.
Mr. Seaver?
I agree, Vice Mayor. Thank you for your creativity and also your reaching out, like you said. And it's definitely a needed space. And my only other question was to follow up on the mayor. Do you think it'll be done by season, or you said 2 or 3 months, by February maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, there'll be minimal impact on doing this stuff will cause minimal impact to
For
the
the additional
businesses.
space parking.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Slattery?
Thank you. Yeah, this is a great project, and it's nice to hear that it's being all done in-house. Is this under Tom Function, or?
Yes.
It is. You here tonight? Thank you, Tom. The lights, so they will match all the rest of the lighting that we have up and down
Yes.
Tarpon Ave and all our area. So are we thinking ahead? Are we going to remember we did down at the sponge docks, where you could plug into the lights for electricity if we have events and stuff? Will we have that?
Going to include that.
We can look at it. We hadn't thought about that because there's not much that goes on.
Well, you never know. You could expand,
Yeah.
you know.
All it is a plug in the bottom of the light bulb.
Yeah.
It's almost standard now. Not
Yeah,
to
I think so. I think you're right on those.
'Cause I know we didn't have
the
that
ones we
for
got
years.
on the Orange Street ones.
In the bayou.
Yeah, in the bayou.
We didn't have that for years, and it created a problem down at the sponge dock with all the events. So it's something you might want to look into. I don't know. But I think it's a great project, and I'm not one that can parallel park, so I'll take the angle parking.
I didn't say that.
No, that was quite an issue back when we were redoing, where's the, Lemon?
Lemon.
Yeah, angle parking versus the parallel, but.
A lot of them are two spaces with driveways on each side, so all you got to do is pull up in the driveway and back. It's not really a parallel
Not real-
park.
the true
You can
parallel
get, with the driveways, you can just pull in and back up, so there'll be, most of them, there's very few that's like in the middle of two, so they'll be a lot easier for.
And so where are the plants and the trees and whatnot, they're coming from some local?
The nursery, the places that you see everything else around the landscaping that we do from those
We're not
places.
gonna, are we, as a board, going to approve what's there, or are you just standard?
We're gonna kind of keep with what we've had that you like. We can always add, if we see it and we want to add something else to it, we can always do it.
I'd like to have a review of the landscape.
Sure.
You want to review the landscaping? Just, yeah, maybe if we have a little look at what what you're thinking of.
Sure.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Commissioner Panther.
Yes, thank you. I agree with everyone's comments, especially the vice mayor, in the sense that this is connecting to the next agenda item. That's been a very broad, if you will, unused street, and I think that this is a great use to add 45 parking spaces. I think it is a good idea to talk to Mr. Sarukis, because I assume the vice mayor was talking about the if I'm reading this map correctly, the cutout where the garage is from the old Shepherd Center. Is that what that drive?
He owns a little bit west.
The ones where the park, if you'd see the extra parking.
Okay, I
lot
see what
in
you're
the back
saying.
park.
Well, definitely, yeah. If we can get some more parking from him with the agreement that if he needs it, we will give it back to him. That would be great. But this will definitely ease the congestion on Mother Mears parking lot, the one behind a Tarpon Tavern. And my only real question is, was there any negative feedback at all from any of the property owners? Or
No.
Excellent. And lastly, no, I think we'll kind of cover this in the next item. I assume, while parking is open to everybody, obviously, we will prevent people from kind of camping out there. So some kind of law enforcement to where the Sun Bay Motel can't use that as part of their customer parking permanently, correct?
We could, again, it's like all public, it's all parking that's down.
But like, is there any kind of rules, like as far as a car can be
We
left
can
there
do like we've
for,
done
and
on
that's
some of
what
our,
I'm talking about.
no parking 12 to.
Yeah, obviously I'm not like restricting parking to somebody, but just, it can't be used as someone say, that's like overnight parking constantly, the same car there for a month, I'm talking about. Just the same way we do where I see cars ticketed or booted around the docks and whatnot. So that's all. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Any public comments on this item? Here now, we're now going to go to the item number 4, Bayou Area Hotel Property. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for being here tonight for this presentation to hear the updates and provide us with your input. I'd like to begin tonight's presentation with Police Chief. He will give us the updates and also the follow-up of his presentation from November 1st, 2016. Chief. Mark?
Bring the first page.
You have to bear with me here. I'm not used to this one program. Well, we're talking about an update. We were before you last time talking about some of our initiatives that we were doing at the hotels, more from the law enforcement perspective and building officials and other areas that enforce this. But as we move along, we continue. Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. There you go. Usually it's over on that side. Okay. Again, current actions that we do, directed foot patrols, continue initiatives with SEPTA, which is crime prevention through environmental design. Some of these areas are more prevalent by 199 Grand Boulevard with lighting that we did. We continue police partnerships, especially at 110 West Tarpon Avenue. Continue code enforcement action. You have some memos on the dais that more building, and from a fire marshal perspective, there are a bunch of violations and re-inspections that are going to occur in December on those violations. We continue our communication with the hotel owners and continue to partner and liaison with community members. These were some snapshots that we did just on statistics, and you see this is October. Again, most of the activity now at these hotels is proactive policing, foot patrols, directed patrols, area checks, things of that nature.
Yeah, what the main thing that we wanted to show with these snapshots, obviously the police has done a tremendous amount in their part. As far as the city officials and the fire marshal, the building, they've done their part. You're going to see that a little bit later. But just to show you the activity and what effect they've had, you see the two steps. I think you saw the October one when you did your last presentation. We just got the November one. As you see, there are no major incidents. They are the normal incidents that you would think of a place that's got transient population of hotels. A lot of things you see on there are unfounded. They're contacts. So an example of the job we've got and the change that we have seen temporarily is those are all the calls for the month. And if you remember some of the other lists you had, there was long lists of calls and some of the serious nature. So those have virtually gone away by the actions of the police department and what they've done. And just to remind you, all these things are updated constantly on. If you go to our city website, we've got a special section that deals with this. So every month, the new one will be posted of what this snapshot is. So you can go to that website. Any new building official will show you some of the things from code enforcement and stuff. When we do new inspections, that'll go up there. So up-to-date information will be constantly posted on the website for you to see.
So again, with this November snapshot, we're looking at, again, most of the activity is proactive patrolling, as you can see for hotels. Call volume tends to be consistent so far through these months. Update outstanding code violations. Again, you have this on the dais. We talked a little about this. Tarpon has been working diligently with the city staff and subsequent compliance with building development and fire code compliance. The owner is really taking a big step to try and change things around there. He's partnering with us. We have signs up. He's renovated a lot of his rooms. He has cameras on the property, lighting on the property. So these are all positive steps to help reduce some of the previous problems we had there. And again, 199, you have this on the dais. There are a lot of violations at this location. Again, mostly from the building department's perspective, building code and fire marshal issues. They're actually doing a weekly and every other week inspection on that. But 199 here, you see some more violations on Eureka Apartments. Both of these locations will be re-inspected in the, you have the dates there. I think one is December 6th and one is December 9th. So they're going to get back out there and they have to comply with these issues, or there's going to be sanctions, whether that be shutting them down, whether that be going to the code board. But again, that's the building official and fire marshal that are primarily involved in these violations going on now. 57 West Tarpon, again, they have some outstanding violations. They have not come into compliance. I know our building official, building director met with them, with the fire marshal, and he has hired contractors to start doing some of this work. So we'll see how much of this gets done on the re-inspection coming up. But these, again, more violations at 57. And that's pretty much the update on the hotels.
So those are ongoing. Again, all those different things that we have identified, we will be doing inspections every 2 weeks. They'll have time frames, and at the end of this, when we talk about what our future actions is, we'll show you where that all goes and where does that go to. The issue we need to address before we tell you what we're going to do in the future, we need to deal with this issue that's come up about eminent domain. I think we're all in agreement now on the statute that we have quoted before and emphatically stated, and that the attorney explained in his memo, the law that was created in Florida that absolutely prohibits the taking of property to eliminate nuisance, slum, or blight conditions, and it's prohibited. There's no question, there's no rule, that can't be done. Where we have the issue is, okay, we can't take it for that, but we take it for a public purpose. And we talked about, it came up in the first community meeting about being part of the downtown district and plans and stuff. If you go to the next page, the problem with that issue, and I know you have an email from today from Ms. Tarpon, I'm sure she'll be talking about it, and on these issues, there's a lot of things she says that we're in error on, and we'll respectively disagree on all those, but I'm going to show you in a minute where they probably doesn't make any difference. If you'll see the plan for the park that everybody talking about being in the downtown district, the problem is, and I was there during all that time too, the downtown district ends at Alter 19. Those hotels are in the Spring Bayou district. If you go to the next, if you do go to the next slide.
Camera's not working.
Basically, the issue, I'll go on, and when he gets it up, we'll see it. It's very clear. It has the things that in a downtown plan are included as check marks. The check marks for civic buildings, facilities, parking structures. The next slide, when he gets it going, when you see the Spring Bayou, it does not have the check in this thing. But I'm going to tell you right now, the issue of a dispute of whether it's public purpose, not public purpose, I feel strongly, and I'm sure the city attorney is going to strongly advise you, there is nothing at this point that we can do where we will not be seen as the courts as circumventing the state law and taking a nuisance by using this public use. The eminent domain and taking property is one of the most extreme rights of government. It shouldn't be exercised. In fact, some of you I've talked to, some past people on there, and are emphatically opposed to eminent domain. Probably in 99.99, I am absolutely opposed, whether it's a good property or bad property, taking somebody's property. Property rights are probably one of the most important things, and a government taking those property rights is extreme. So, being that the case, in this case, there is nothing, and I might even go back as one of the prime examples in cases of that, the memo you got today from Ms. Tarpani. If you read those first 3 paragraphs, that, if I was a lawyer, would be the first thing I put into evidence to show that the city is trying to take a nuisance property by using the public use portion. It's clear there is nothing with all that's on the public record and stuff that we would be able to successfully complete a court case, even with the great attorney we got. We're not going to get around the fact that we're skirting that law by trying to use something else. We've done it 2 times in this town, I think, in 30 years. One was a long time need for parking that we needed downtown, and we ended up taking property. The other one for moving a bigger library. Again, we talked a long time ahead of time, and then we did. So eminent domain in this case is not an option. I'll tell you that. The attorney will tell you that. It's not an option, and it's something that could cost us and the taxpayers and our balanced budget severely because we're not able to do that. Does that mean we can't do a park there and get a park there? Not necessarily. That's why, with all this happening, I know some people question why is the city manager doing it, but in my mind, that's my job to do. That's why I engage with conversation with the property owner of the Sun Bay. And I've also talked to the other property, which I don't want to get into because that gives me a little more anger or what's been done to another property owner that we've all of a sudden thrown in here to take the property. But even that one, I'll tell you a little bit about that. I've been engaged with talks with them to see what it would take to buy the property, because the way you're going to get these properties and the way you're going to make a park is you're going to have to come to a deal and buy these properties. That's the way you're not going to get there by eminent domain. So I've been engaged with them. We've been in talks. At this time, the last talk we had was Thursday, discussing parameters, some possible offers, and again, a negotiation process that's not closed, so I'm not going to go into the details because we agreed not to go into the details. At this time, that property owner wants to go on the list that we showed you of his violations. He wants to try to correct them, and he wants to try to run the property the way the city and the citizens want. He was made very clear that that's going to be very hard to do and take a lot to do. He understands when I show you the process of what we're going to do next. He knows what the process is that may happen to him, but it's his property, that's his right. I talked to him about 3 scenarios and 3 options that I would be open for. Even though he doesn't want to talk now, I've left some offers open to him, and we've agreed to engage in talks. His option, though, is he wants to try to complete this and make this place a good, respectable place for the community. I respected that and told him, okay, but you see the list up there, so you have to do it. But some preliminary offers, some parameters I've left to him, some different ideas of how we could come to maybe agreements been left with him, and the door is open for him to talk to me about the property. The other property is not involved in nuisance, but it's involved in this. He was at the meeting. He's got his own ideas he's gone to planning to talk about. Those plans that he's going to him for meets exactly what that special area plan says for in that area. But again, in talking to him today and stuff, he wants to look and see what happens with the hotel. He still wants to look and draw up his couple ideas if the hotel's there or the hotel's not there, and think about what he may want to do there, but the door is still left open to talk in the future. If something happens with the hotel property, the door is still open those ways. So both those avenues are open. If we're to do a park there, it's going to be through acquiring those properties and buying those properties. And I understand the arguments that made. I appreciate the residents that wants us to find some way to take the property and do it. They hadn't passed that law in 2007. And again, it was a law that, because of the extreme nature and the importance of property rights, we may be in a different place, but we're not in this place. And obviously, we don't want to go into a proposition that we're going to lose. So those doors are still open. The park idea is not gone. It's not completely off the realm. We just can't do it by eminent domain. It's not going to be legally possible. But there are things, and there's things that property owner knows that's going to happen to him. If you put that slide up and maybe talk a little bit, Chief, about what we're going to do, what is the process, what is the future of what we're going to do with the properties that aren't in compliance.
Well, I mean, obviously, we want compliance. If they don't come into compliance, we can obviously take them to code board. We can hit them with nuisance violations, or eventually we could take them to court. So there are other avenues available to us to keep going on these properties if they don't come into compliance, especially when we're talking about 57 West Tarpon Avenue and 199 Grand. So we definitely have other avenues available to us if they don't come into compliance. But it is a process. So the first goal is to get them in compliance.
Yeah, they know now that they're in compliance process, but the schedule is going to be moved up a little bit because they're going to be given timelines to do that. Again, if that doesn't work or they're not compliant, they're going to go to code enforcement. If they continue to be a nuisance, they're going to go to chronic nuisance. That's where we'll build up fines to them. That's where we can do all that. And if it gets to the extreme path, if it gets to the extreme nature where that doesn't work, then we can take circuit court action to either close them, put requirements on them, or do that. But it needs to go in sequence because they need the opportunity to do those things. But that is the future that we would be looking at with the properties if they're not in compliance and not going any further. So pretty much that's where we are, where we're going, and the current update of where we are with those properties.
Thank you, Mr. Licouris. You have any more to share with us?
Right now.
Well, thank you. We read the backup information that was actually given to us by the city attorney regarding the eminent domain. But Mr. Licouris, I have made it very clear, and as I stated in the past, that my desire is the same as most of the people in the area for these two properties to be public use. I believe that officially tonight we should be giving you a direction to start negotiating for both properties and not just the one, to make sure that they understand that we're serious about it and that you're going to have direction officially. So before we finish with this item, I'd like to ask my fellow commissioners to vote on that.
The only thing, Mr. Mayor, and I don't know the vote, I've already done that.
Go ahead.
Maybe not officially, but you're going to tell me something to do that I thought in my authority to be able to bring you back to do, and that's all right. We're at a final stage of that in talking to them. That's why I gave you that update of where we are. So I'm glad you're endorsing me to do that, but we're in that process right now.
Yes, I understand that, Mr. Licouris, and I appreciate all the work that you did, and I was in contact with you with that. But what I like to do is, if it's okay with the board, if I have a consensus, is to take a vote on it and make sure that this effort is officially, and that we give you an official direction from the board that you start negotiations on both properties. Vice Mayor Tarpon?
Thank you. Yeah, so let me just start kind of from the beginning with this process. First of all, I'll say that I'm very appreciative up until this point in terms of how the city's handled it with our first meeting at the Bayou. I think at Craig Park. I think our only mistake in hindsight at that meeting is we should have taken the names and contact information down for the people who were in attendance, because it was it was so well attended. And with that, we would have been able to further communicate and reach out with those people. So, hindsight's 20/20. But I'll say that I'm appreciative of that first step. I'm appreciative to everything that's happened until this point. I'm thankful that Commissioner Banther put this item on the agenda. I support the way staff up until this point has moved forward with meeting with the property owners, the code enforcement issues, going there, on a weekly basis to make sure that things are being done. I even support the way the city manager went about meeting with the property owner of the Sun Bay Motel, first and foremost to say, hey, you want to sell it? We want to buy it. You don't want to sell it? Then we'll explore other options. So for me, that was the starting place before you could really go further, was to see if the first and foremost property, as far as the Sun Bay Motel, was interested in selling. I support the idea of a park. As I mentioned on the last agenda item, I think it's really a benefit to the town, to the downtown, to Spring Bayou, to the whole district to have a park place there. I feel that it connects the downtown to Craig Park. I feel like Craig Park and downtown and Court Street, they're all one and the same. So I feel that it's a great project. It's a great way to have open space there for different events and, for weddings or farmers markets, or just different gathering places at the Bayou, at Spring Bayou. I think it would do a lot for redevelopment, and I feel like there's a lot of intangible benefits to that. To me, this is no new idea. The city manager can confirm, and so can Mr. Hoffman confirm, that years before this meeting tonight, I approached Mr. Hoffman and talked to the city manager about moving the Safford House to his lot. So for me, this is no new idea. You can confirm that, right? Okay.
Absolutely.
So this is no new idea of a park. This isn't trying to circumvent, the code or eminent domain process by taking care of a nuisance property through eminent domain. This is taking care of this is creating a new passive park that's long been on the table and long been talked about, at least from my perspective. So up until this point, I'm appreciative of the way the city's moved forward with this. The backup tonight, I feel like we have taken a step back to a few years ago when it becomes, this is why you can't do it versus this is how we're going to get it done. In recent years, city staff has been phenomenal in terms of, hey, it's a little complicated, but this is a way how we can get it done versus, no, we can't get it done and this is why. So for me, I'm a little turned off by that. But for the record, I will tell you that I feel like the park idea is a great idea, and it can only be done with both parcels, and it really collaborates nicely together with Craig Park, with downtown, with with what you just saw in terms of Court Street. So I'm all for that, and I will support that. Obviously, it's easier to just buy a property outright than have to go through the eminent domain process. But I'll tell you that I'm not scared of the eminent domain process as long as it's for a public purpose, okay? I can appreciate where the city attorney came from with not being able to use eminent domain through from a nuisance perspective, and I would agree with that. However, this is not from a nuisance perspective. This, in my opinion, is for a public purpose, and it's been so for a long time, not just tonight. So, moving forward, I feel like we should, as the mayor alluded to, give the city manager authorization, and I'm happy to make a motion right now. I move that the Board of Commissioners gives the city manager authorization to hire an appraiser off of our approved appraisers list to obtain appraisals for both properties, so he can, further negotiate from a professional standpoint in terms of value. So I'll make that a motion right now. I understand it's a presentation and a discussion item, but there's no reason that this board can't vote on it, the motion that I just made. So first and foremost, I'll make that motion.
Commissioner Pemper.
Yes, I would second that motion. I feel that it builds upon what you, the mayor, said in your opening comments, and I want to be clear here. I agree with the vice mayor's approach in the sense of a public use, in the sense of not circumventing the process. And I really think if you look at it a certain way, we're not doing anything different than what we have been doing up to this point. And staff has done, including Mark, a phenomenal job, and Chief Lucuras and our planning department. This has been added weight to them beyond what their normal day-to-day operations are. There is only so much that can be done from that approach. I don't own a lot of property, but I own enough to know that if somebody wants to purchase my property, yeah, they can talk all day long, but until I receive a formal offer, I have an appraisal that I'm not going to take it too seriously. And I think, we can't really judge yet the Hoffman property because we haven't gotten too deep into that, but at least the Sun Bay property, I don't believe he is taking us seriously. And I think if we did go about the right way where I would even go further, though I won't amend the motion. I think our attorney should get an eminent domain co-counsel to guide us in this area, just based off our attorney's comments that this is not his area of expertise, and I fully respect that. And we need to be advised of our legal rights and what we need to be cautioned on. But we have to submit to these two property owners, especially to Sun Bay, an appraisal and a firm offer, which is usually 25% above appraisal, so they know that we're serious. And I also think, in a way, and this is not, I fully supported what the city manager has done to this point with having meetings with this gentleman. But it kind of brings it out to the sunlight, if you will, where the city is being very open and transparent as to what we are willing to offer, for these properties, and the landowners can exercise their own rights and respond appropriately. I think it's safe to say at least with the current board, I mean, I've been the most vocal critic of using eminent domain, period. But, you know, there comes a point where you have to be taken seriously. And going this route does not mean that's where we end up. But to act as a city government in this form, where we are seriously considering purchasing these two properties, and if there is resistance by the owners, perhaps exploring other legal avenues, I think it's only appropriate that we do the steps that I've outlined, that the Vice Mayor has outlined, and that even the Mayor mentioned in the beginning, that we act in a way where they know that we are serious about this. This is not just talks, and they can, you know, I'm talking about Sunbay here, obviously, they can patch up some things and we're going to be fine. You know, I would go into to my questions that I had here about Sunbay and has work been improved, has work been done, and it's appalling to even see the other property where we had conduct of all those violations. But you know, I think we need to stay focused right now on acquiring these two properties for this public purpose. And again, I stress, I'm not saying to go out tomorrow, we're going to do eminent domain and take people's properties. That is a last resort. But if we don't act in this manner by doing this formal process, we are not going to be taken seriously. So again, I do second the Vice Mayor's motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Sieber.
Yes, I did have some questions, and maybe they're not to be answered tonight, but I see that the Sunbay property owner is willing to work on a timeline, which we know it can take forever, so I don't really, consider that as an answer. But I am concerned also about the Tarpon Avenue property, and we keep talking about these two properties, but that property is insanely and out of compliance. So I don't want us to forget that property, because there was the Tarpon Avenue, the Grand property owner.
No, let's make clear, the Tarpon Inn has done everything.
Not the Tarpon Inn.
Yeah, Eureka Apartments.
Eureka Apartments,
okay.
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
That's on.
And we did have an officer killed there, and I don't want us to neglect that property, for sure. As far as those two properties, I understand what y'all are saying, and I do believe we need to do something with Sunbay. As far as Mr. Hoffman's property, he is a respected business owner. I don't think we can just take his property away without making sure that he doesn't want to develop it or do something with it himself, because I don't believe in taking people's property away, myself. But again, I do feel like we need to do something with the Sunbay property, and I would agree to go ahead and move forward on taking a step towards that. I just don't, I wouldn't include Mr. Hoffman's property, because he's a respected business owner and he does have some plans from what he has said, and I think that he needs to decide what his idea is to develop that property, or if he wants to sell it.
Thank you. It is so important that we move forward with what we're talking about here tonight. I totally support what Vice Mayor has said, what the Mayor said, and waterfront parks. There's an article in Sunday's paper that you should read about waterfront parks. I won't read it to you, but read it. It's a great article. The Sunbay, if I look at code violations, there's numerous code violations, and you were saying that they have a timeline to correct these violations.
Yeah, they will be given a timeline before we start the code enforcement process, and it will not be a long period of.
You haven't
even
started the timeline.
Yeah, they have started the work on there. I think he might have stopped because he's talking with me about the city's interest in selling. He might have gone a little slower, but he was the electrical, the things that he had to do or he was going to be closed down, he is doing. He told me at the meeting Thursday he is going to cooperate 100% and get on a timeline. Now, that's just what he told me, but I can guarantee you we're not giving him extended time and we're not giving unreasonable. He's going to have the shortest time that he can reasonably get it done. There is going to be no leeway with anybody on these processes and stuff. And again, it's not, it's a process. And I know you're frustrated, and I know what you talk about.
But how did it get this far? How did these properties get in such disarray? I mean, this is unbelievable. All those, 3 of those properties, how did it get this far? To me, that's unacceptable. I'm just kind of appalled by it. I think they need to know that we mean business. And I personally, I don't think we should be afraid of eminent domain. And I feel that, and our city attorney, maybe with counsel, can guide us on eminent domain, you know, that has experience with it. Everybody has their own specialties, and I don't think that it's our city's attorney's specialty. I'm not sure, but I don't think it is. But, you know, and hire a professional and to help us with that. I personally don't think we should be afraid of eminent domain and be afraid of being sued all the time. You know, we need to take action. I support the motion that Vice Mayor has made, and they'll know we mean business, or at least the Sunbay, if we can present them with an offer. I mean, I went ahead and pulled up the tax rolls, figured out what the property is worth, you know, calculated 125% above value, blah, 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 and we know what, you know, we can come up with some sort of a price. So, I mean, it doesn't take it's not rocket science, trust me, I could do it. But, you know, I mean, so it's as simple as that, and present them with a firm offer. You know, we're not just going to go in, and I don't think, nothing against the city attorney, but I mean the city manager, but I think that if Mark should go in with an attorney when he goes in to meet with these people, or, you know, well, I just think that we should have some sort of an attorney present when you speak with these people.
The problem with that is if they had an attorney we're dealing with, but again, you know, I mean,
can't you have them come up to City Hall for an appointment, and then we have
we can do the formal process, but in my purpose of meetings, getting them, because I can figure out approximately I can give ranges and stuff. If it got to a more advanced process and going, I'd involve attorneys, but you bring it, you know, my purpose in doing that, and I want to emphasize again, see, I don't agree, we don't disagree a lot.
Very seldom disagree.
But we're going to agree tonight because I don't think it's a setback. And I'm telling you now, we can spend money for eminent domain attorney. We can do all that stuff. I have enough experience with the law and tell you that I am not afraid of eminent domain. I wouldn't be afraid to use it. We just need the case to use it by. And we got the biggest loser of a case where you'd have city staff, myself, testifying against us because it is so obviously against the statute. Now, again, yes, that's my opinion. But remember, I was through it a long time with the Globe Club as police chief and dealing with the process of trying to close and take a place. I had 10 years of doing that. I know the law. I know what judges do and stuff. And by all means, you know, the process of me keeping negotiating and going with that you're saying tonight, that's fine. I tried to do that ahead of time. That was my part about not stepping back, because I could just step back and tell y'all, you're not going to get it in eminent domain, that's it. But I knew the way to get it was to try to get the hotel owner to get in a conversation with me and let's make a deal to do it so I could give you the part of you. So I don't see it as a step back. It was a method to keep away from the obvious. And the eminent domain attorney, I would think he's going to tell you the same thing. This is a loser. This is circumventing the statute. And I don't see any way. I hope I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong. But I'm not scared of the eminent domain process. I'm scared of losing taxpayers' money. And with a balanced budget, you're talking about in a suit such as this and going to court, you're talking about a lot of money. He can hire a $400 or $500 attorney and we'll end up paying it. You will end up paying the fees for it. We know that from the case of the property out by the post office, what happened. So I'm just trying to protect that, and I want to get that to you. But what you're saying tonight about continue starting negotiations, especially really on Mr. Hoffman's property, I agree with you. You know, he has agreed with me to see what goes on to the hotel, what goes on with the hotel, and then talk with them. Well, so yeah. I really agree we should deal with the hotel first and see where that is. And then I think it's more receptive to see him. I know it goes together, but to do this process and start looking at stuff to deal and get the hope, because without that and without that fight that's going to be in the court, the other property's kind of there. That's the only difference I do. And if you want the city attorney to hire somebody to review all this stuff and give you an opinion, then that's something you can do. I agree with all that, and when we'll get started on that, tomorrow. Now, if we got a problem, we'll deal with the issue about the motion, because I want to keep it.
Before we go the eminent domain process, I feel that we should offer, money talk. Show me the money, okay? So we present the Sun Bay owner with an offer of some sort, and at that point, if he rejects it, we see where we are with the code violations, and then we talk about the eminent domain process. But when it comes to the Hoffman lot, I definitely would not want to. I'm not talking about taking Ed's lot whatsoever, but I think that we could offer him. I did the numbers on that as well, and I think if we offer him fair value, Ed's a great citizen of this community. So I think that's something that we need to talk about. But by no means would I say ever take it. We have no right to take his property anyway. I don't believe, but.
Well, thank you. Vice Mayor Tarpon, you have something else to
Yeah, I
add?
just wanted to add a couple more things. One is, first of all, the appraisal, my motion is for both properties, right? That way you have something concrete. You can present it to the people. It's off of an approved appraiser list. It gives us something concrete, not only to present to the Sun Bay motel owner, but to also have in our back pocket for Mr. Hoffman, because I think we all feel similar in the sense that Mr. Hoffman's kind of waiting to see what happens with the motel. If something happens with the motel and it moves forward and we can buy the motel and utilize it for a park, I think Mr. Hoffman, his heart will get soft and he will, see our vision. It may take a little bit of strategic negotiating, but I think that he will ultimately, buy into the project and sell the property to us. That said, as the city manager said, we rarely disagree or take a different path, and that's fine, but we work well together. However, the last time I checked, the city manager and the city attorney work at the discretion of this board. So that said, when it comes to hiring an eminent domain attorney, I would like for this board to pick the eminent domain attorney, okay? As long as we're hiring the attorney and we want to if we move forward with them, hopefully we don't have to. I think we all agree. And that's why I support the way the city manager's gone about this from the get-go, because it's always easier just to buy a piece of property outright than have to go through that process. That said, I'm not scared of it. Look at what we have to show for eminent domain. We've got a brand new library. We've got a brand new elementary school. We've got a great parking lot. So it's for a public purpose. And I think that that's how we all on this board need to start thinking and talking, because that's what it's for. It's for a public purpose. The Court Street streetscape is for a public purpose. The Sun Bay Motel is for a public purpose. The Hoffman Lot is for a public purpose, period.
Well, I believe that we should be able to use every tool that's available to us, including eminent domain if we have to. But right now, first step is to start with a negotiation and give official direction to Mr. Licorice to work on that issue to negotiate, and hopefully we'll buy that, so we'll have to get to that point. See, we have something else to add?
I was just wondering if our economic development manager had spoken to this owner and had he had any interest in selling it to, other than us buying it, to somebody who might be interested in that
As far as
property.
suggesting it, someone who make a boutique motel or something like that out of it, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
Sorry, well, I just want to clarify some things and maybe answer one question from Commissioner Sieber. The only reason, not the only reason, but why I support the Vice Mayor's motion to include the Hoffman property is simply out of respect for him. Again, we are not up here tonight saying it's time for eminent domain. We are saying we have to go about a formal process. The friendly negotiations have been unsuccessful. They have been, and they're going to be. If we're all up here honest with ourselves, we're going to be. And we're not the Gestapo. We can only do so many things from a law enforcement side, which, by the way, none of that should stop. The plan that Cochin has in place, the city manager has in place, none of that changes. That needs to go forward full effect moving forward. And I would say on all three properties. And I'm thankful that the Tarpon Inn Motel is at least making overtures for that. But and I'll take some of the responsibility, and I think Commissioner Slattery brought up a good point. It is a shame that we are at this point. And I take what responsibility I need to have for that we allowed as a city 3 properties to get so bad we are sitting up here talking about this. That should not happen. That can be a conversation for another time. But I take my portion of responsibility for that. But I just want to make it clear, crystal clear, press, anybody watching, to all involved. And I've said this to people privately. I said it publicly. You know, I am very libertarian. I am for property rights beyond belief. But I think in this situation, it's starting to become more clear to me of the possibility of this public use. And we are not going forward tonight saying eminent domain tomorrow, let's rush to the courthouse. We are starting a formal process so both parties know we are serious in our offer. And then they have their legal rights. We are not circumventing anything here. They have their legal rights. So I think it only makes sense to include the Hoffman property in that out of respect for Ed, so he can make his decision of what he wants to do. Until we have formal public written offers in place, the whole thing we've tried has just not been successful. So I want to make that clear. My position on eminent domain that I've said privately and publicly still stands. It's just this formal process I think needs to happen, so we are taken seriously. Thank you.
Well, thank you. We all finished? Okay, we're going to go to the public comments. If you have any comments, please come forward, state your name and your address for the record. You'll be given 4 minutes.
Yeah, but he went to public comment.
You're not doing the motion yet?
We did the motion.
We already got motion. First and second.
We'll do that.
Hi, I'm Teresa Garman. My husband Larry and I live at Villa Plumosa part-time, where you live in Indiana. I've been very interested in all of this. We love Tarpon Springs, and I know, you that live here all the time may take it for granted sometimes, as we do where we live, but it's such a beautiful, beautiful area. My parents lived in Holiday and wintered there and always took us to Tarpon Springs because of the beauty. We would see the manatees in the park, and it's just so lovely. And we go over there now, and oftentimes we'll see people who, just this morning, who were there from Tampa, and they had family visiting from, different parts of the country, and they bring them to Tarpon Springs because of the beauty. So I appreciate very much all the work that you do to make it so beautiful, and the interest that you have in taking care of some of these properties that are dangerous, because we are concerned when our children and grandchildren come. We want it to be safe, as it always has been for us. And I had a homeless person, as a matter of fact, outside of Dunkin' Donuts. She was talking to me, and we said we were on vacation, and she said, well, don't go to the Sun Bay. It's very dangerous there. So this homeless person said that. So I think that said a little something for it. She knew. So anyway, I would just like to speak in favor of the park expansion plan. I think it's a great plan. It's such a beautiful, beautiful area, and we're just very, very, very grateful for it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Rifa Harajli, and I live in 100 Grand Boulevard. I am the newly appointed Crime Watch Director for the Villa Plumosa Condominiums Association. In over 40 years, there has never been a need for a neighborhood watch in our community, just off Spring Bayou. Of late, that is not the case. My fellow homeowners are very concerned about the drug-related crime in our area. I ask on their behalf that more than policing of the area and be done. This problem will not be eliminated just by policing. I strongly recommend that the city adopt a plan to rid our community of this serious problem. We are in favor of redevelopment to include the conversion of the Spring Boulevard and Tarpon Avenue area into a park to be enjoyed by all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, can we make sure that whoever's speaking signs in so we get their names for the record in the sign-in sheet?
Sign?
Yeah, there is.
Thank you.
Good evening. Nils Hasse, 124 Shattuck Street. I live one house away from the old library there, so I see a lot what's going on. First, the police have done an outstanding job in the last year of cleaning up the area. My daughter sometimes would walk the dogs around the park, and the homeless people, there'd be 6 or 7 of them sleeping there, hanging out during the day. You don't see that anymore. So, thank you. As far as eminent domain, I mean, that's pretty radical. And we all own property, and I think that this guy is entitled. He has a hotel. I think he's entitled to own his property. However, he's not entitled to all these code violations. And when I go by there every day, I see all kinds of workers working on it, most of them probably unlicensed. I think we should, number one, check licenses when we go there. I think we need to check to see what type of work he's doing there. If we continue to harass this guy and make him adhere to the codes, he may end up having to charge more, and that would also end up the people that hang out there. Everybody knows it's the cheapest hotel in town. You can hang out there. I mean, I've seen it there for years. So if he increases his rates, it would stop a lot of that problem. I think, the park is a wonderful place, and the things that have happened around here in the last couple of years have gone down the tubes. It goes up and down, up and down, up and down. Lately it's gotten bad, but the police now, I see them all the time in my area, so they've really made a difference. The eminent domain that's pretty radical, and Ed Hoffman isn't stupid. If he knows that you're going to buy the hotel, he's certainly going to make a nice offer if he wants to sell that property. I just think we need to keep on this guy. Also, the apartments down the street, there's a lot of code violations there. They all have a lot of these homeless people working on that stuff. Stop in. Let's see your license. What are you doing? Start harassing them that way legally. I think also Mark has done the right thing. Anytime you invite an attorney to come in, all you're doing is paying money. Then pretty soon you're going to have to pay him to write a letter, and then they're going to have an attorney pay them to write a letter, and then letters go back and forth, and each time a letter goes back and forth, you're paying more money. I think he's doing the right thing and acting in the city and talking to these people. I think Mr. Tarpon is correct that we need to get some appraisals on the property if that's where you really want to go. But really, I think a lot of this can be stopped just by adhering to the codes and being there present. And do you have a license? Let me see your insurance. Let me see this. There's codes for that and laws for that. Thank you.
Anita Prost, 901 Bayshore Drive. I'm appalled tonight at some of the things I've heard. And what I'm going to say, I really don't care whether y'all like it or not. Since the 90s, we have talked about the hotels. Since I was mayor, we've been bringing it up, and it would just coast along. There's a former mayor here and former commissioners. They know through the 80s and the 90s we've talked about what's going on at the Bayou. It's been that long. Commissioner Rhea, I'm appalled at what you said tonight. You have really hurt me as an honorable citizen in this city and respectable. Mr. Hoffman isn't the only one. All these people here that want to do something with that piece of property are respectable citizens. If you had an opponent, and I congratulate you for not having one, you'd be in trouble tonight because that's going to be on the street within an hour. You just slapped us in the face with that. Aren't we respectable? Yes, we are. And we know what we need to do. So I like Eddie. He is a respectable man, but think about the citizens that live around there and what we've had to put up with. And that's why we've been talking about it. It's not a hate issue. It's not an ugly issue. We want something good for our community. And I'm very sorry that you said that because I feel that you don't think I'm a respectable citizen and these people here. How much longer are we going to have to wait? Is this going to come back in the next 2 years? The code violations is really our fault because we haven't been going in there as a city
monitoring what's been happening in these motels through the years. They're old, and we should do a monthly inspection or every 2 months in these places to make sure they're up to code. And yes, Mr. LaCourse, I came here along with Mr. Tarpon and begged the board to hire you as a city manager. But listen to your commissioners. And mayor and commissioners, I've been saying this all along. We have a city manager form of government, but you are the boss. He works for you. You do not work for him. Remember that. And yes, you should pick the attorney. Get them to give you resumes and get together and have an open meeting and pick who you want to help you with this. There's nothing wrong with that. And you tell your city manager that's who you want and that he's going to work with. How many more months and how many more years are we going to be working on this? Since the 80s and the 90s, this has been going on, and it's in the minutes, and you can read it. The time has come now, and it's not saying that Mark can't do it, but you are the ones that are going to be in the hot seat for it, and that's why we elected you to make these decisions. You run the city, you work as a group, and you don't work for the city manager, he works for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jack Spurk. I reside at 2008 Golfview Drive. I have nothing to say about the Sun Bay Hotel, and I'm not going to smack anybody in the face here. My thing is, and I'll repeat it again, I work for the Chamber of Commerce. Every day I have repeated requests for in-town lodging. The only resort that I have is to send them on Route 19. We have Annie with the 1910, she's totally booked all the time. I personally believe we should encourage a full renovation of the Tarpon Inn. It used to be the Gondola Motel. It was a fabulous place. It could be a boutique hotel. It would be in-town lodging. It's accessible to downtown. It's accessible to our beautiful Craig Park. And it's also accessible to the Sponge Docks. So my thing is I wish I could find someone to do this, but I would encourage that we find some way to turn the Tarpon Inn, have it renovated, and take it from being a resident motel, which is the main problem, into becoming a visitor's motel. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Darlene Vadi-Quiotis. I reside at 49 West Center Street, Unit 113 in the Villa Pomosa condominiums. As I've shared with you before, I'm the president of the Homeowners Association, representing over 50 residents, families, renters. And I want to share with you that some of them were so kind to come tonight and speak for this very important issue. I'm here on that same subject. We want the drug-related crime in the Spring Bayou neighborhood gone. Gone. Since mid-September, 3 months ago, I've written to you twice. I've spoken to several of you privately, and I've also attended 2 separate commission meetings. And this has been my third attempt today to try to get something moving forward. My question is this: will you schedule an agenda item to discuss the creation of a city park at the corner of Tarpon Avenue and Spring Boulevard? I've mentioned to you before that the residents that I'm responsible for are somewhat elderly. Obviously not my dear friends from Indiana, but there are those that could not come tonight, and some of them that refused to come tonight because this is an inactive group. Those were the words to me. And I said, I can't speak for them or against them. I can't say they're doing their job or they're not doing their job. But the crime is still there. They're concerned about the police being present. Anything like that concerns people. But Chief Cochin, you've done a fine job. We appreciate the efforts that you've done. But as I've said before, policing is not going to be the answer. It's just not going to be the answer. And I know you've taken those remedial steps, and we do appreciate that. You've told us that you're working on a plan, and I've heard that tonight as well. We still don't know what progress on that plan is to be made. I agree with Commissioner Slattery. This has gone on too long. We need to be able to clean up that whole thing. And we have given you the perfect way to do that. I strongly believe in the importance and the necessity of a city park in that location. And whether it means buying both of those pieces of property, and if I were one of those individuals, man, I'd jump at the chance to get 125% of the value of my property. I'm not against eminent domain. We've used it before. You all know that. But I think, as Commissioner Banther said, get serious, get professional. Don't do any backroom one-on-one kind of talking. I'm not even sure who was authorized to do that. But go forward and say, this is the way we want this to be presented. We want to make sure that we do this legally, we do it legitimately, and just go through with it. Now, I recognize the sensitivity of talking about such things as negotiations. There's obvious sensitivity about that. And I want you also to know that I've spoken with a number of residents, not just Villa Pomosa community people, but others. And there is a growing interest in the park. The beauty of a park, the usability of the park, just the all-around goodness of it is well worth it. I've asked repeatedly to schedule this as an agenda item and to discuss this. And I just don't understand why it can't be done. Why it can't be done in conjunction with other things going on. Just to bring forward the idea that these are things that could be options, this especially. We're growing increasingly disappointed with inaction and even a sense of just unwillingness to talk about it. I had an opportunity on October 17th to meet with Mayor Alahousas and also Police Chief Cochin, and at that time the mayor told me, all you need is one commissioner to request the city park to be put on an agenda item for discussion. And I'm asking that tonight, not only for myself, but for the community that I represent and other people that want to see a dual thing done. Get rid of this crime and also beautify our city and what I consider is the spotlight of the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Karen Gallagher at 33 Central Court in Tarpon. Just a quick couple things. We moved to the community with kids, and our kids frequent some of the places downtown, and to come home they have to walk by these buildings as they come down. They go to First Friday, so oftentimes, especially with the time change, it's dark at night. I can't allow young adults, 17, 18-year-old kids to walk by there by themselves anymore. I don't feel comfortable with that, and I think that's really sad in a community like this. I do appreciate the new lighting that's gone in, the trees that have been trimmed to try to make a little bit more exposure, et cetera, and all the work that's being done. One of the big concerns that I have is the meeting that was held over at the Bayou a couple months ago. We talked there was a little bit of talk about at 6 months coming back together and reconvening. I was slightly appalled at how few people showed up at that meeting. I think the reason that so few people showed up, a community are as big as we are, so few people showed up because I don't think people knew that that was happening. And that's, I think, something that we need to figure out as a community is how to get that word out to people. There's a blurb in the Suncoast newspaper. A lot of communities don't get that newspaper. So if there is something that I'm missing, I happened to hear about that meeting through social media, a little blurb that this was happening, and brought 10 people to that meeting, by just calling them. And they said, I had no idea that was happening. So I'd like to see two things. One, I'd like to see an actual timeline. We talk about a timeline. Is there something in place for an actual, you have 2 weeks to complete this, and if this is not done, this is the next step happening? I keep hearing about a timeline, but I don't understand what the dates or the time frame of a timeline is. Is it 6 months that they have to complete this? Is it 6 weeks, et cetera? And then I'd also like to know if there's a way to get communication out in the community a little bit better so that more of our community can show up to these meetings and discuss that with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you write your name down, please?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Thanks.
Costa Valley Kiotis, 49 West Center Street, Unit 113. I didn't come here to prepared with any comments, but a few things were said tonight that is something that I do know about. Most of you know me already. You know I was a city manager here. And I wish to qualify a couple of the statements and also to provide you a data point, just additional information. I was the city manager when we did the Tarpon Springs Library. I was the city manager when we did Live Oak Street. And also Mayor Protos, especially her husband, or George Protos, were very good friends of mine from childhood. And I was aware of the taking on Orange Street for the parking lot next to the Tarpon Tavern and followed that closely. I just want to let you know I never negotiated any of those purchases or eminent domain. But the one thing that we did do, and a couple of the commissioners hit on it tonight, is we did discuss eminent domain as part of the process. And without that, it's difficult to get a property owner to come to the table. And we also, in some instances, used a condemnation attorney. In other instances, we used our city attorney. But I did not negotiate. It was just too much work, and it took me away from the everyday, day-to-day things that I had to do here at City Hall. But we did have to use eminent domain on a couple of occasions. But for the most part, because the property owners knew that, and they actually came around and did the right thing. I've heard some of you say doing the right thing. They did the right thing and came to an agreed upon price based on an appraiser and based on some percentage over what the appraised value was. They sold us the property. In those instances that they did not, we did use eminent domain. We did that on eminent domain on Lemon Street, I think with one property owner, but I think there were 3 or 4 there that agreed to sell their property. On the Orange Street lot, I know former Mayor Protos chose to go the eminent domain route. That was her choice, but there were 2 other property owners, the Tsarakis family, who was a former mayor as well. They and his son was an attorney, and he recognized the eminent domain process was hanging out there, so they negotiated a price for a sale. Similarly, Mr. Zier, which was a property owner downtown, he negotiated a price for a sale. On Live Oak Street, there were 20-some properties. 20-some properties. We did have to use eminent domains for total takings, especially with one property owner. And it did take 1 or 2 attempts when the city attorney tried it, because it was a false start by him, and then we had to go back and do it all over again. When we used a condemnation attorney, we never had a problem. The other properties were down between Dodecanese and all the way out to US 19, and they were partial takings. The dilemma there is it's just not buying part of that individual's property, but also there's damages associated with that, because now he's reduced his property, he's reduced the value, but we've also damaged him to the extent of putting the street closer to his home. The attorneys did an excellent job of negotiating those. Again, I was never involved in the negotiations. I think, in my personal opinion, attorneys are trained for that, they're equipped for that, and quite frankly, those attorneys reported directly to the commission. They did not discuss things with me. That's all I have to say, and thank you for your time. And also, I very much appreciate all the comments and the discussion here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have to bring my cheaters out. I'm Frank DiDonato. I've served with distinction before and proud to be before you today, Mayor and Commissioners. I have, as many people have spoken tonight, been involved with many of the comments and feelings about this particular issue. And I've heard some good things here tonight, and there's some other things I was hoping to hear that I have not heard. I want to thank the chief. I think they've done an excellent job in making improvements to the area. I also know, along with the chief, how difficult that really is to do through just policing along. And I believe that development or redevelopment is a way in which we can go forward. So it has been said here tonight, we talked about the previous item with Court Street, those improvements. I think this blends right into what we're talking about here in the conceptual idea of the Sun Bay Motel. I think we should purchase that. And again, to me, the rules are defined. It's up to 125% of the value. I personally own commercial real estate, and I would tell you that if I had that many code violations that I had to improve, the monetary value of that alone would probably be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars to repair. So if you add that, or subtract it, if you will, to the cost of buying the Sun Bay Motel, I mean, there's a lot of negotiation that you can do here. Plus, there are also, as far as Mr. Hoppin's property, there are real estate issues and tax issues that also enter into the value of his property. You need somebody educated in real estate enough, commercial real estate, to explain that to him, so actually to both party owners, so they understand that there's a lot more there than just 125%. As far as I've heard here, is the Bayou District. We all know that over the years, at least since I was last here, there's been little, if any, residential development there. There has been a couple commercial buildings built in this area of, I'm talking west of Pinellas. There are businesses there. They move there thinking they're part of downtown. We are growing. As you've seen, we've grown up Tarpon Avenue towards 19, and then we're growing towards the Bayou. And I think with Court Street and with Tarpon, along with Orange, and even another street up, but those are growing commercially. There's very little residential there. I think the park makes sense. I don't think necessarily that all of it has to be done by eminent domain. It is a heavy procedure. I was there on 2 occasions on the commission where we did that. And we did it reluctantly, but we did it with a public purpose, a public need. And I think we can all agree that those accomplishments, the parking lot on Orange Street and the library on Lemon, were definitely have served this community. And I would submit to you that I believe the park will do the same thing. We're growing. It's going to continue to do so. We have to provide that room. And I believe that the advantages for the 2 property owners involved haven't even been stated well enough to them. I'm not commercial real estate person to explain all that, but I know there are tax advantages. I would also submit to you, if you want to build a park on my property, I'll take 125% of it today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Cindy Tarpon. My husband and I live at 22 North Spring Boulevard. And until recently, we lived in a safe, wonderful, fabulous, beautiful neighborhood. We were comfortable walking on our streets. We were comfortable letting our grandson play outside. We were comfortable going along Tarpon Avenue. That's no longer the case because of the illegal activities and the murders. And let's repeat that, the murders. We all seem to want to forget that. The murders, and especially of a person at the Sun Bay, and of a police officer at the Grand Apartments. Also, the illegal activities at the Tarpon Inn have eliminated our safety and serenity. I greatly appreciate the motion and the second tonight and the discussion in support by the mayor and Commissioner Slattery to move this process forward. I appreciate also the city's efforts, and especially Chief Cochin, with regard to the policing activities that are stepped up and the code enforcement activities. But based on my review of what's been told to us tonight by the chief and the status of those code enforcement activities, and the review of all the memorandums that are online, they're not going to work. I think we all know it in our heart of hearts, so let's just accept it and move on, and I think that's what you're doing with the motion on the floor. I appreciate that you agree in concept with developing a park at the Sun Bay and Hoffman properties as a public open space. The special area plan does contain a goal for the CRA to develop a public open space, and as we've talked about, it can be used for many purposes. At Epiphany, at First Friday, a farmer's market, the many weddings that go on there now, the prom pictures. And the park will expand Craig Park and connect it to Tarpon Avenue, the Greek Cathedral, St. Michael's Shrine, the Ennis paintings, and ultimately to the Sponge Docks. The city manager's comments and the city staff memorandum are deliberately misleading you and are an incomplete analysis of what the special area plan says. The special area plan specifically defines the CRA, and that's the word they use, the community redevelopment area, as going from south of the sponge docks all the way down to Mears and Pinellas Avenue, a total of 200 acres. The two sites, the Sun Bay and the Hoffman parcel, are clearly within the CRA and are the best location for this open space. The 10 characteristics that are referenced have nothing to do with the objectives in the special area plan. They merely talk about what uses are allowed, the setbacks, the heights, and all those things. So to use that is deliberately misleading and providing you with incomplete information. Thank you for taking this next step. Clearly, I think it's, I would like to congratulate and thank the city attorney for recognizing that it is a specialized area, and it's not his specialty. And I would suggest to you that it's neither is it the specialty of the city manager, and he needs to step aside, as you all have talked about, hire someone whose specialty it is to guide you through that process to make sure there are no slip-ups, and hopefully with an appraisal, because you are using public money, that is the proper way to go at this point. I would also call to your attention, I believe it's on page 3 of Mr. Dagenaw's report, where he quotes this, the Florida Constitution, and just to quote it, "No private property shall be taken except for a public purpose and with full compensation therefore paid to each owner." That's what we are talking about here today. And to suggest that because one discussion about whether or not you can use eminent domain for a nuisance is not allowed, and the city attorney has advised you so, there is another method that can be pursued. It is an absurd assertion to say that you can talk about one way, okay, that method is not legal, we're not going to pursue that. But you can legally pursue eminent domain as a public purpose. With the creation of this new open space, we have the opportunity in Tarpon Springs to expand existing Craig Park, a waterfront park, and connect it with our working waterfront at the Sponge Docks, and continue to ensure that our city is a unique and historic small town with activities for residents and tourists alike. Thank you very much, and I support your motion and hope that you will move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Victoria O'Hara. I live at 209 Bass Street in the Fruit Bowl, although I live on Bass Street, so I don't know how we went from lemon, orange, banana to Bath, except I know it floods a lot. So I guess that's the name. I don't know why that is. Can somebody tell me why it's Bass Street in the Fruit Bowl? But anyway, what I want to say is I appreciate the owner of the Tarpon in stepping up, working with the police and having that collaboration as well as that communication. However, I was extremely appalled and embarrassed when I had my cousin come in from California, who's in the vacation industry, who stayed there and was utterly appalled at what she saw. How many of you have ever stayed at the Tarpon Inn? And you can agree with that. So we have to consider all three properties as much as the owner is complying. My belief is that it's a smokescreen because that was extremely embarrassing. And I think we're losing business. We're in a town with a lot of educated and people that care. My neighbors, most of the people I live around on Bass Street are people who are educated, raising families, and who have a deep passion to keep this place clean. But I'm going to tell you, after I saw that, I felt like moving back to Pennsylvania. But it's not just you that needs to make the steps. Get out of the box. I'm with you, Commissioner Tarpon. You're an out-of-the-box guy. You're an out-of-the-box, let's make this happen. We're not going to be safe. We're not going to keep it safe because you know what? We're not safe. And that's the bottom line. We are not safe. When the police go with an operation and they're finding semi-automatic weapons, and my teenager lives around the corner, that's not okay. So get out of the box with the thinking and take the risk. Please. So that people like us and the educated people and the people with passion in this town don't move out. And what will you be left with? Not people like us who care. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Vasily Faklis. I live at 929 Oakview Road and also own several properties and businesses in the downtown area. So been very involved with everything that is going on, and I applaud all your efforts to move forward. I applaud the efforts of all of you here, and I know Chief Cochin and his staff has been working very, very hard, and they're moving forward. Feel very positive about that. Unfortunately, I have to call their office a lot about things that happen downtown. And I know we're talking about this Sun Bay Tarpon Inn and the Grand Boulevard properties, but you know, as Tarpon, the downtown area is building out in concentric circles, that spreads to other areas too. We have a restroom in a downtown area right next to my building, which it serves a good purpose, but every morning there's people there bathing. I come out of my, customers come out of our business and they smell pot, there's drugs, this and that. And yes, we call the police as we're told to, and they're there all the time. How does that look for business? Not very good. How do I feel with the fact that I go early and I leave late, and many of my customers are coming to me with guns, carrying guns, and because they don't feel safe? Is that just a sign of the times? Because I grew up in Mayberry, Tarpon Springs. I hope it's not just a sign of the times. We have to do something about it, and I know you're trying to do something. So I just encourage you to move forward. I think now that we're doing the streetscape on Court Street, and I've talked with city manager, and I think that's great, and possibly do some on Orange and provide more angled parking. I think we're moving forward. So we just have to take the initiative and the encouragement of our citizens and move forward, because this is our community. Sunday, we were at church, and earlier that day there was, and this is a common occurrence, there was a Christmas bazaar, and some people came in, and you know, they give us the same story, and you feel sorry for people. I'm not saying you don't feel sorry for people and you want to do the right thing, but it's the same story. We come in, we don't have money to eat, we don't have money to stay, and you tell them where to go, and you know, their story changes. So we said, why don't you go to the Shepherd Center? Oh, we can't go there, this and that. It's the same old story. These people were accosting the ladies at the Christmas bazaar for their money, and they had to ask them to leave. When they went out to the parking lot, they were checking cars to see for open cars. Later that evening, I was there for the carols in the cathedral. Those same people were there, and they accosted me again. I know these things happen, but it's a serious issue, and it's, whether it's drugs, alcohol, whatever's going on, the transient issue. We have programs that are here to help these people, the Shepherd Center, and on, and they do a great job. But we can only do so much. We have to have rules that have teeth, because many of our families have been here for over 100 years, and we want to live here in this community, and work, live, and play in this wonderful community. So I encourage you to move forward. Thank you very much.
Have any other comments? Coliana?
Jim Coliana, Circle Drive, Tarpon Springs. I'm not surprised by what you all heard from everybody, because it's pretty apparent that everybody that spoke tonight is very, very upset and wants something done. I'm a little surprised, though, they didn't hear each one of you say, we're going to vote tonight, we're going to take care of this. I heard you make your statements, both about doing away with this and authorizing the city manager to go forward. I heard your statements about wanting a park. That was step one, okay? I don't believe there's a timeline you can write on the wall in these situations. I just want you to keep something in mind, and I'm asking you to vote yes tonight, and I know you will. I don't even have to ask. I want you to see this vision, okay? Walk down the end of the street where those people are, and just look across the bayou. Look at that big empty piece of property that used to be the Spanish property, and then the piece behind it where the tennis courts on it used to be the tourist club, but is now Craig Park. And then envision, step back, and when those other places are gone, that's going to be the greatest sight you've ever seen. And I can tell you, I know you have some thoughts of what the end's going to be. Mr. Tarpon, John and I were both on the board, and we're just as scared, just as afraid as you may be, because we got, while we were in office, we got the Spanish property. And it's been one of the best things this city's ever gotten, because it added to the downtown area, believe it or not. I think your city manager's been doing a hell of a job, all right? And I got to tell you that. You didn't have to tell them to go forward. You're telling them tonight because your commissioner said it all. This is the formal part to make these people believe we're not putting up with your stuff anymore. Okay? We're going to get your place. We're going to clean it up. We're going to make Tarpon a better place to live. I've always believed that we have the best police department in town. And I know a lot of people think they just stepped in to try to make these things stop. They've been doing that all along. I don't believe they meant this to be a negative meeting. I think they wanted it to be so informative to you of how important it is to them. Maybe you should have waited to say you're going to do it at the end of the meeting. But you did it up front because I know you believe in what you said. Don't give up on it. I know it's going to work. I had some personal questions when I first heard about the park, until I understood what type of park it was really going to be and what it could be. And one example I was given was, we have a lot of marriages down on the dock down there, the concrete dock. How nice would it be for that group of people, those families, to come up now to a brand new park that has a little enclosed area or just a roofed area and have their reception? I mean, how good is that? How many cities have that? We're a special city. We've always been a special city. I've never thought about leaving this place, and I've had many opportunities that I've turned down because of what you do here and what's been done here every year as long as back as I can remember. You guys are just as tough as the group that started it. You're going to win this battle. I got confidence in you. I heard you say that tonight. You're ready to move forward. And one of the things nobody's talked about is it ain't going to be cheap to get these places. You'll get them. Don't back down. Go for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, City Manager, Commissioners. My name is John Tarpon. I appreciate you moving forward. I do disagree with the City Manager. I do think your actions, no matter whether they're negotiated purchases or if you had to use eminent domain, would be successful. I do agree with the City Manager in the fact that if you just went after the Sun Bay Motel, I do not think you would be successful. But I hear the commissioners say they want to look at it as a total package, and that becomes a public purpose. It's clearly outlined. It's a redevelopment. It's an expansion of an existing park. You're having an upper tier of Craig Park and a lower tier. It's all tied together. It's an enhancement to a town that's known all over as Epiphany City. You are creating a open space that facilitates and creates an ambiance for a world-famous cross-diving. Some people say that people have plans or that the park should be developed or the property should be developed. I can tell you from my professional experience in real estate that to have that open space will create greater redevelopment opportunities than if you develop that piece alone. My belief is that to develop that piece, it's a short-term gratification and you're shooting yourself in the foot for the long-term gain. Keep the space open, go through the process, hire a true, no offense to Mr. Dagenal, but it's brain surgery and podiatry. You know, it's a specialty law, and he knows that. So I disagree with Mark in that you can't get it through eminent domain if you have to. I believe you would be successful with a good eminent domain attorney. I think there's more than enough data to substantiate that it's a public purpose redevelopment opportunity for the betterment of the community. I do agree that you should hire an eminent domain attorney, and I would just like to drop back for a minute and say, let's not lose perspective on why we're here. We're here because there's murders to the right of us, murders to the left of us, drug use, prostitutes, all kinds of illicit activities, and there's a way to get rid of that, and the chief has said it himself. I'm not going to arrest my way out of this. I'm not going to arrest the way out for the community. There's only one way to do it, and that's redevelopment opportunity. Redevelopment opportunity doesn't necessarily mean you build something on it. It means you make it a public purpose area that encourages someone, a niche hotel builder, to come and buy Mr. Shaw out, or encourages Mr. Shaw to really do some nice renovation. And Commissioner Seibert, I will tell you that if the previous commissioner, Mayor DiDonato, and other commissioners had not used eminent domain on the parking lot on Orange Street, your husband wouldn't be in business. I can tell you that, because there wouldn't be a parking lot there, and there would be no Tarpon Tavern. So I appreciate your efforts. I think you're on the right track. I think the city manager is trying to do a good job. I just think he's a little misguided on this one area of the takings, and I encourage you to move forward. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Chetan Shah. I am one of the owner of the Tarpon Inn. They call me Jason also, so it's easy for you to remember. thank you, Mr. Tarapani, for the comments, and I really appreciate it. We are personally very much interested in developing Tarpon in a real boutique hotel, because that's our goal. We are new there. We are hearing all these things. We are experiencing it. If city is going to improve that area, that will go right along with what we want to do. So definitely we are for improvements and making difference. I felt that there may be a communication issue, so I did speak to an attorney today, and he knows most of you, Mr. Michael Kotis, Kouskoutis, and he is on Tarpon Avenue. We are meeting on Monday, and we are also meeting with some development attorneys and whatnot. We believe in when the iron is hot, you got to hit it with the hammer. That's when you get the result. And we believe right now the iron is hot. We need to hit it with a hammer so we can develop it the way we want. That's what we want to do with our property. We have finances available, we have everything, but just doing something just right there is, and last time I was encouraged when I met you, Mr. Mayor, that we would be interested in hearing any incentive programs or anything that you have or whatnot for us to make changes, even tear down and build a new property there or whatnot, because we are looking for long-term, nothing short-term. And I really appreciate everybody's effort, and we are not part of the problem, we are solution for the problem. So just stay in touch. Just because I'm going to meet an attorney doesn't mean that we have to communicate through attorney. Of course, that will jack up my cost also. So I rather prefer one-on-one communication, and attorneys there just for the ease of the communication, because I thought that if we get somebody from the community who can communicate better and who knows kind of everybody, that will be better than me getting somebody, because we live in Lutz and my attorneys are in Tampa, and I just rather have a local person. And so that's all I have to say here. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more comments? I want to thank everyone for being here and giving us your input. It's very constructive, and thank you so much for your suggestions. I'll also like everybody to know that we're not going to lose focus, because the problem that we have is 3 areas, not just the one. We still have two other areas that we have to work with. We just heard from one of the owners that he's going to be working to create a boutique motel. But we also have, and we cannot wait forever. It's something that it has to be done and clean up immediately. And also the other area, the Eureka Apartments, that also has to be cleaned up as well. So thank you. With that, you have a comment?
I just have a
Sure.
comment, yes. I just want to make it clear. I know, former Mayor Anita Protas said I was disrespectful. I totally respect everyone in the audience, as well as Mr. Hoffman. He's not here. And I think the rest of us up here also respect Mr. Hoffman, and that's what I was talking about. I also think that we need to clean up Eureka Apartments because, as you said, Mr. Tarapani, we have murders on the right of us and murders on the left of us. And if we don't take care of the murders on the right of us, we'll still have a problem down there. So I definitely want to clear that up. And I have no problem with moving forward. I just, wanted to, show my respect for Mr. Hoffman and his property. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion. You okay? You want to say
Yep,
something?
no, I'm good.
No, okay. We have a motion on the floor at a second. Roll call, please.
Good. There was an amendment to the original motion to retain special counsel. Do you amend your motion, original motion?
I think we can do that at a later date. But I support that. Unless you feel like you need that in the motion. I can amend my motion. So my motion shall read this: the Board of Commissioners directs the city manager to obtain appraisals for both the Sunbay Motel and the Hoffman property from a approved list of appraisers, and also that when and if the city needs to move forward with eminent domain in order to achieve said public purpose, we will hire independent
eminent domain council. Is everybody good with that?
Okay. You want to second that?
Yes, second that
Okay.
motion, yes.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Slattery?
Yes.
Commissioner Sieber,
Yes.
Commissioner Banther?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Terapany?
Yes.
Mayor Alahouzes?
Yes, thank you very much. We are now going to the consent agenda. Item number 5 is the attorney fees. 6 is the special events, Light Up the Bayou, December 24, 2016. B is the Epiphany Procession, January 6, 2017. 7 is renewal law and enforcement mutual aid agreement. And 8 is the award file number 170039-C-CM, installation and field lighting for the Dorset Park. Number 9 is approved file number 170041-N-CM, single source purchase of Caterpillar original equipment, manufacturing parts and services. And number 10 is select American Consulting Engineering of Florida and Carnon Incorporated for RFQ number 16132-S-JJ. Any item that you'd like to pull?
I don't want to pull anything, but I do have a comment in regard to special events.
Okay.
And I can do it for board comments. That's fine.
Okay, fine. Anybody? Okay, any commission comments? No? Any public comments? Hear none? I will entertain a motion.
Motion approved.
Second.
Before we vote, you want to make a comment?
No, I'll wait until board comments at the end of the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Slattery?
Yes.
Commissioner Sieber,
Yes.
Commissioner Banther?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Terapany?
Yes.
Mayor Alahouzes?
Yes. We're now going to the item number 11, settlement of administrative fine of lien for Mavromatis 309 East Tarpon Avenue. I will turn it over to City Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Board of Commissioners. You've received my report on this property at 309 East Tarpon Avenue. We have a principal balance of $44,581.72 going back to March of 2014 and coming into compliance in 2016. The violations are set forth in the memorandum. My office has recommended a reduction of the fine to $2,500 in principal plus the cost of $992 for a total of $34.92. You've received a request from the property owner, again, who is not the violator, on December 1, 2016, requesting that the fine be reduced to the amount of administrative costs of $992, with that request having been endorsed by the city manager in his memorandum to you. Happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. Any commission comments? No. I will entertain a motion.
Motion to accept settlement for 992.
Second.
I will, before the roll call is read, I'll recuse myself from this vote because I do a substantial amount of business. with these
Oh,
gentlemen.
okay. Great, thank you. And roll call, please.
Commissioner Slattery?
Yes.
Commissioner Sieber,
Yes.
Commissioner Banther?
Yes.
Mayor Alahouzes?
Yes. We are now going to the item number 12, appointment to the Public Art Committee. This is straightforward. We have a vacancy. Move to vacate alternate number 2, Mrs. Vaqueriores, to the vacant alternate 1 position and appoint Mr. John Spurk to the alternate 2 position.
So moved.
Second.
Any public comments on this item? Hear none? Any additional comments? No? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Slattery?
Yes.
Commissioner Sieber,
Yes.
Commissioner Banther?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Terapany?
Yes.
Mayor Alahouzes?
Yes, and we are now going to the item number 13, which is an,
Sorry, I just forgot to point out that Mr. Spurk was in the Citizens Academy.
oh, okay.
Yes, in addition.
He was. Real fun.
Thank
there,
you,
isn't it?
thank you. Okay, great. We are now going to the item number 13, appointment to the Housing Authority. Again, we need to fill the position with the, to fill the unexpected term. and that term expires November 22nd, 2020. We have an applicant, Mr. Dennis Garvey. I need a motion for that.
So move.
Second.
Any commission comment? Any public hearing? Any public comment? None. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Slattery?
Yes.
Commissioner Sieber,
Yes.
Commissioner Banther?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Terapany?
Yes.
Mayor Alahouzes?
Yes. And now we're going to the item number 14, which is an appointment to the Library Advisory Board. We have a recommendation to reappoint Ms. Patterson for, as a regular member and Mrs. Fortes as an alternate one, to another 3-year term. And that term will expire July 1st, 2019. And then to appoint Mrs. Lovejoy and Demotis to the 2 vacant regular members' positions. These terms will expire July 1st, 2019. So, any questions or comments?
I just have a question, and I'm fine with our only 2 applicants, obviously.
I have no choice.
But just a point of clarification, make sure I'm reading this right, as I'm often wrong in reading this.
Okay.
I see, so we're reappointing Ms. Fortes as alternate 1 to another 3-year term as an alternate, right? Does
Right,
want
she doesn't want to move up. She wants to
stay.
remain
Okay,
an
that's
alternate.
fine with me.
Stay there.
Okay, great.
Any other questions?
Motion approved.
Second.
Thank you. Any public comments? Nobody's here. So, roll call, please.
Commissioner Slattery?
Yes.
Commissioner Sieber,
Yes.
Commissioner Banther?
Yes.
Commissioner Camper, stepped out. Mayor Alahouzes?
Yes. Well, that concludes the agenda for tonight. And we're now going to the staff comments.
No comments, Mayor. Thank you.
City Attorney,
No comment.
Mr. Licouris.
No comments. That snow place, as always, was packed. And, 4 years ago, when we talked about that and thought we'd be lucky, we'd hope to get 3,000 to 5,000 people. That would be great to have at this event. And just the constant filling of the streets with 15, 20 is good to see. And it's good to see that we're a premier event that competes on the same day as Oldsmar and Clearwater and still gets those kind of crowds. So of all the work of everybody, city staff, community, chamber, merchants, and everybody to make this a premier event in this entire area where people are coming from everywhere for, it was a lot of hard work over these years. And I thank all of them that were involved. Thank this commission for supporting us doing an event like that. And again, that's one of those put yourself on the map events. And it's great for the city and just praised by all. And again, talking to some of the crowd, they're from all over. Brooks, they come from all over to our Christmas festival. When if you look in the paper, you see the choices of all of the things going on, and they make sure they come to ours. And that takes a lot of hard work by citizens, staff, y'all, and everybody. So it's been a great success, and we'll be continuing in the future.
Thank you. Any idea how many people attended that night?
15, 20,000. It was packed.
It was packed. It was packed. Thank you. Madam City Clerk.
No comment.
No comment. Vice Mayor Terapany.
Thank you. First and foremost, I just want to say that I think tonight was a healthy discussion. It's been a while since we've had that much citizen comments, so I it's reassuring to see that from time to time. So I just want to say that I'm appreciative of that. In regard to the special events, I've been somewhat talking to Mark about, as our events grow, which he just got done talking about. It's been kicked around a little bit before in regard to vendor parking. And I think we're at a point now and I know that it can be difficult to enforce, and there's a lot of loading and offloading with vendors, and I'm sure that you can speak to a lot of that. But I feel that we're at a point now where we really need to have on our application for special events, we need to have a commitment from the applicant that there will be designated, and not all of them, but designated vendor parking. It's something that we've talked about. It's been, relatively a complaint from business owners in the past. And, like I said, it can be hard to enforce, and it can also be hard to request because vendors carry so much stuff that they have to load and offload. But that said, I feel like we're at a point now with the success of some of our events. I don't think that there should be vendor buses and RVs up and down Orange Street or Park or Court Street or wherever the case may be, when in theory that should be utilized by people who are going to be attending the event. So, subject to what event it is and where it is, if we could have an idea or come up with an idea of where those vendors could park, designated vendor parking, I think that would alleviate some of the concerns from business owners. So that's just, to throw out there for y'all to think about. In addition to that, just following up again, I know that, it was pointless to put up a sign on the Forbes lot for sale and Karen Lemon's contact while we did Snow Place, but just following up and making sure that that's going to be forthcoming.
Yes, as fast as we can get it up and made it up and on the lot now that we've got the snow and everything else out of there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Commissioner
I
Seaver.
just wanted to answer to that. We do have designated parking, I know, on the docks for our vendors. They have to park off-site on the side streets.
And is that part of
and
the...
it is on the application.
Is it on the application?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right, good. Well, then we need to start doing that.
Is a live oak park available?
For downtown?
No, for the vendor.
I think that's a good spot. It may be a little bit
far,
for
but
'em.
we have the bus that we can transport them.
Well, we could, but like I said, I mean, it depends on the event, I feel like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
they're
if
all
it's-
different,
Yeah, I mean, every event is a little bit different. Some are bigger, some are smaller, some have more vendors, some have less. But I mean, if you can look at it a little bit from a case by case, like if we have an event in the core of downtown, Tarpon Avenue, and, some of the parking lots, then maybe you utilize Lemon Street for that. You know what I mean? But I do think that it's at a point now where it's necessary. I didn't know that
They're supposed to offload and then move.
Yeah, but I mean, generally they move to the next parking space.
Yeah, they're not supposed to be doing that. They are supposed to be moving, in
Further away.
areas that,
Yeah, right.
that have been designated for them.
So, FYI, something to think about.
Thank you. Seaver, you got something?
No.
Okay. Commissioner Panther.
Yes, I would like to know if we actually had a larger turnout than why. I'm confident we did than Oldsmar, not to sound cocky, but I'm confident. And then maybe even Clearwater. I mean, I saw in some, you can't trust everything you read, obviously, but that we were the largest public Christmas event.
Yeah.
So, maybe I don't know if Karen can do some research and make some calls, but once again, we're the leader in that. My family's big with Disney, and we go to the Disney Christmas party, and whether there's more people at Disney, obviously, if you took in, people per pavement, I mean, it's absolutely packed downtown. My claustrophobia was going off the charts. So, I mean, it definitely is a great event, and I thank all the city staff that I know is salaried employees, not hourly employees, that are volunteering their time to make a success, from manning the hay rides to all that other stuff, and I appreciate that. Also, this is long overdue praise. The reclaimed water tank at the golf course, that is like the best damn hidden thing ever. I mean, I keep meaning to say that too, because I drive by there from the gym in the evenings, and I look over, and you really can't see it. I mean, I know that sounds simple, and when they brought that forward, I was all for the tank, but I'm like, yeah, okay, you're really going to hide this thing in plain sight. But they need to work for the military or something, because that's an amazing job. So I don't know. I think that's awesome that we were able to do that, and get that reclaimed water, and now we just got to get it over to Oleander, where I'm going to be moving to. So please, yes, thank you.
Commissioner Slattery.
Thank you. I'd like to say the Snow Place event was unbelievable this year. I think I talked to some of the merchants, and I think it was the biggest crowd we've had.
Absolutely.
I do like the extra, what we did, the tree lighting. That was a great idea. And I've seen that before. Actually, the city manager had told me about it in St. Augustine. So I had gone over one year to see it, and it was fabulous. Everybody gathered in the square. I mean, it was really awesome. And I'm happy to see that this year, and I hope we continue to do that. Did you enjoy that, didn't you, Mayor?
Yes, I did.
We were all, Mark's got his fingers crossed, because when he was going to push the button, the lights, when the mayor was pushing the button for the lights.
Make sure that it
I
works.
had my eyes on
I'm
him.
standing there, Mark's standing there like, if those lights didn't turn on, I'm like, oh my gosh. But everybody did a great job. Everybody pulled together. City staff did a phenomenal job. Tom, thank everybody that worked. I know you did a lot of work on it as well. And everybody involved. It was great. We also, don't forget, our Christmas parade is this Saturday?
Yes.
10 a.m. And I believe we're all riding on the fire boat.
On David's fireboat, yes,
Yeah.
they are.
Yeah,
So that ought to be fun. I'm looking forward to that.
Publix fireboat.
Better bring your jacket. It's going to be chilly.
It should be cold in the morning, yes. And I want to remind everybody that the Safford House has the Victorian Christmas every year. And if you can make the event, please go. It's December 16th and 17th. And it's really a nice event that they have. So if you can make it out there, please try to. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Mr. Licouris, I also like to thank and congratulate everyone who worked on this event. I mean, it was fantastic. Everything was organized. Everybody was involved. Tom was unbelievable, directing everyone and helping everybody. You were there. Thank you.
I was there. I was in
Vice
the,
Mayor Tarpon. I got a picture of you, by the way.
When you called to
I got
do
a picture of you.
You did? Okay,
Yes, I
good. When
did.
you called to do the lighting, I was in the bounce house with my son. Yeah, those things are death traps. So I tried.
That's probably.
I unfortunately had to work. It's the first year I've missed it.
But it was beautiful. It was. I also like to remind everyone after the Christmas parade, we're going to have the candy cane hunt at the Craig Park, and that begins approximately 11:30, right after the parade. So that's going to be great for the kids. Also like to thank Senator Latvala and all the Pinellas County legislators for having their first public hearing here in Tarpon Springs and introducing the legislative bills for the upcoming session. After the meeting, we all went to on a boat ride on the Anclo River. Julie Reese, who was the host, she took us out there, and it was very informative. All the team got to see the importance of dredging the river. Also, they saw some of the difficulties that the vessels are facing when they navigated into the river. So I think we got everybody on board with what's going on, and I think we got support from everyone. And again, I want to thank everyone for their support. Well, that concludes the regular session, and it's adjourned at 9:16. Good night, everyone.
See y'all next week or 2
You mean Tom? Because he's all
here next Tuesday?
Yeah, they switched our meeting.
I almost could have gotten out of it. I leave for Disney, but they're all there. Hey, we're DVC members. Make my investment worthwhile.
You're gonna, I think we've got to do stuff.
What do you want me to say?
Move some of the
What
one.
do you want me to say?
Say something, Ray.
Nope.
Huh?
You got nothing nice to
Look at
say.
this. This is nice, huh?
I get one.
I know the plan. I know the plan.
I like that. No radio host, though. You see this?
I know. It's the next meeting. Yeah, that's great. Well, it's okay, but after that, we'll have